731. Quote. Master. Hong Fan speaks as he throws Hyeon Rang's head to me. I catch the head Hong Fan throws. From within it, I sense the powerful force of origin essence. Right now, the head is the passageway to the seat. It would be best if you dealt with it. Quote. Yeah, thanks. I place Hyeon Rang's head inside my body and look around. Glass Peacock, Azure Pung, Oh Yun Sok. Right now, all of them have collapsed in exhaustion after killing Hyeon Rang. For now, we've won, so come on in now. I draw Hong Fan and the immortal treasures into my body and then look up at the sky. Goo. The immortal arts spread inside the palace of radiance unravel, and familiar presences begin to emerge from the rooftop of the palace. Itis the Radiance 8 Immortals. I didn't expect deep camaraderie, but still, betrayal right after the battle, is it? Do-do-do-dit. The space around me quakes from the presence of the 8 Immortals, and the power of the torch candle Heavenly Lord resonates with the heavenly void furnace, beginning to suppress me. While I am not in as bad a state as the others, my energy is still significantly depleted. If they launch a full-scale assault, I'll likely die. Surrender. O immortal beast king, if you become a captive obediently, there will be no need for bloodshed. The great forest heavenly lord looks down at me and speaks, and I shrug my shoulders. Don't delude yourself. As long as I abandon my comrades, I can escape whenever I want. Itis the truth, who can resonate with every domain of purity in this world, can quite literally go anywhere. Killing me is as difficult as killing a heavenly venerable who placed their Gandhara outside Mount Sumeru. Whether blood is shed or not, it doesn't concern me. That is precisely the reason. We intend to capture you and seal you within a galaxy of the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain. Ha! 2. Copyright. We will not kill you. As long as you remain quietly within the galaxy as per our command, we will treat you as a distinguished guest. Why? The reason Enders are dangerous is because they constantly introduce errors into fate and cause troublesome incidents. And these beings endlessly emerge in the Sun and Moon Heavenly Domain, each time with different powers, making them hard to get rid of. But even you Enders have a rule. Unless the direct previous generation is annihilated, the next one does not appear. We have verified your ability. As long as you do not die, it does not activate, nor does it add strange variables. Therefore, we have decided to preserve your existence in the same way the underworld does. Still, inside an entire galaxy, you will be able to roam freely, so you will be able to enjoy yourself. It is not a complete seal, and if you wish, we can even create a small heavenly domain and gift it to you. If you feel stifled, we will allow you to travel to places outside the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain through a projection. The Great Forest Heavenly Lord reaches a hand toward me, as if bestowing great mercy. So you, Ender, Immortal Beast King Seo Un Yun, do not make a foolish choice. Join hands with us and preserve your life. If you accept, Radiance Hall shall guard and protect you for all eternity. After listening for a while, I grin. I refuse. For what reason? You think I don't know your true purpose? To eliminate immortal cultivation and maintain only your 8 Heavenly Lord positions while ruling the entire universe. Do you really expect me to believe you'll never try to get rid of me? We swear on our lives that such a thing will never happen. Do you swear on the origin essence of light? Kukik. See, I click my tongue and speak. You think I don't know that? You Radiance 8 Immortals are replaced every few trillion years. Maybe it won't be in your lives, but who knows about the next generation of 8 Immortals? Then we swear to have up to 10 future generations of the Radiance 8 Immortals bind themselves to this oath. 10 generations of us would require up to 100 trillion years to pass. Among those who are not heavenly venerables, few would even exist for such a length of time. And if by that point, the immortal cultivation system still has not been eradicated, then even the 8 Immortals of that era will have no choice but to keep you alive. Even if the elimination of the immortal cultivation system succeeds by then, 100 trillion years is surely enough time for you to find a way to survive on your own, is it not? I sense that while pretending to persuade me, the Radiance 8 Immortals are having the Heaven Immortals outside the Palace of Radiance form a formation. In the end, I grin and speak. So, are you going to let me and my comrades live forever, or not? If you don't answer yes or no clearly. Kugugugugek. I draw out the immortal art of sunlight hunting and sneer. I'll shoot. Then, the 8 Immortals begin to form hand seals. The symbol of the black snake biting its tail begins to strike down upon me and everyone present. Kim Yeon, Kududududuk. Crushed under the light of the Radiance Supreme Deity, I call out to Kim Yeon. It is useless. We have already severed the authorities of beings outside the Heavenly King heavenly domain. Foolish, you likely thought if she were summoned within the Heavenly King heavenly domain, she would be captured alongside you. But that is a miscalculation. Instead, you and the current enders will be taken down one by one. TSTSTSTs. I raise the impermanence sword and slash through the void. Kim Yeon. As I slash through the void, I attempt to move at least outside the Palace of Radiance, but I realize my body doesn't move. When I look toward the sky, I see the sword spear Heavenly Lord gripping half of my nascent soul. Jiwa. I send a hard message to the sword spear Heavenly Lord, but she doesn't respond. Instead, she only squeezes my nascent soul even tighter. Koog. Yeon AHT. Helpless, I have no choice but to call Kim Yeon again. Even if she is the successor of the Tridakna Vast Cold Heavenly King, there is nothing you can do this time. No matter if one is a successor of Vast Cold, if the one who wields that power is of such a level. Even if she manifests the past of Vast Cold for a fleeting instant like last time, it is useless. Did you think we would just sit and watch while the Heavenly Void Furnace fell here? Through the winged garment, I sense the authority of the torch candle Heavenly Lord engraved upon the Heavenly Void Furnace. I see. When Hyeon Rang called the Heavenly Void Furnace here, the torch candle Heavenly Lord infused it with a prophecy. It seems the prophecy that the torch candle Heavenly Lord embedded as one of manifestation of the dead is forbidden. The past of those already dead or annihilated can no longer be projected here. It is both a prophecy to ensure Hyeon Rang is thoroughly killed and one that forbids the power of Vast Cold, who died here, from being manifested to rescue us. You will regret rejecting our offer. Do I have to use that? I grip the impermanence sword while looking up at the Radiance 8 Immortals. I didn't want to use it anywhere other than the Great Mountain Battle. If Kim Yeon is delayed, this single sword might still be able to break through the current situation. I've refrained from using it because the Great Mountain Supreme Deity could devise a countermeasure from seeing it even once, but is there no other choice now? TSTSTSTSTSTs. Just as the impermanence sword begins to glow white hot. Click. Say. The corpse of Hyeon Rang, whose 3 Dantians have been lost, rises from where it lay. At that moment, the Radiance 8 Immortals flinch in shock, but soon, they glare at me as if in disbelief. Have you turned the body of a supreme deity into a puppet? Foolish. Do you truly not understand why puppets were abandoned in the world of true immortals? However, I simply smile faintly. T's done now. Kim Yeon begins to exert her power. Kuring, kururururung. The circuit I had first implanted into the naming supreme deity to turn him into a body through mysterious bizarre star body gradually begins to shift control over to Kim Yeon. And now, Kong Min-hee overlays laws onto Hyeon Rang's corpse, lending power so that Kim Yeon can take control, and the moment Kim Yeon connects the navy blue threads of law from Kong Min-hee to Hyeon Rang's body and turns it into a supreme deity puppet, she begins her play. That play is a reenactment of the scene from just moments ago. Simultaneously, hastily assembled puppets from the inorganic materials in Ascension Path begin to appear around us and act out the previous scene. Click, 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 click. An immortal art that summons a moment from the past using a puppet play as the medium. Yeon's play activates, space-time reverses, and Oh Yun-sok's unconscious body recovers, while energy surges back into the bodies of Glass Peacock and Azure Pung. The naming supreme deity cannot be manifested due to the torch candle Heavenly Lord's prophecy of manifestation of the dead is forbidden, but we are all restored. Though more precisely, it's merely that the power of the past is being overlaid onto reality. I expected you'd betray us from the start. Though to be exact, it's thanks to Jiwa's discreet warning. And in any case, the one who prepared in order to escape immediately after dealing with Hyeon Rang, based on Jiwa's tip, is none other than Kim Yeon. Since the preparations are all complete, I'm not particularly afraid of you. Though the overwhelming power sent from Kim Yeon is no longer present, the immortal art Yeon's play, activated by the combined powers of both Kim Yeon and Kong Min-hee, is activated to some extent. And within that immortal art, Oh Yun-sok rises with ragged breaths. He is able to once again prepare the fist he had manifested just moments ago to strike down Hyeon Rang. The silver momentum gathered in Oh Yun-sok's fist causes the Radiance 8 Immortals to fall silent. Even so, it is but a single strike. And even if you roughly stitch the past and manifest it over reality, you cannot erase the fatigue as if it had never occurred. The Radiance 8 Immortals simultaneously extend their hands toward us. Light speed enforcement. Clang. Our speed is forcibly capped at the speed of light. You will not be able to hit us. If you do get hit, it seems you understand it'll be dangerous for you as well. TS. In both my hands, the jade of yin-yang and 5 elements begins to gather. Do. My true body emerges, and attraction force activates. Goo. The heavenly domain contracts. Numerous heaven immortals try to prevent the contraction of the heavenly domain through prophecy, but none can stop it. Since I'm standing atop the heavenly void furnace, I feel it even more clearly. I think I now understand the original purpose of the phenomena extinguishing mantra. PHENOMENAEXTINGUISHINGMANTRA. The immortal art that brings about the end compresses the heavenly domain, pulling the radiance 8 immortals toward us. Now, they can no longer escape. Foolish, but the radiance 8 immortals show no panic, and instead even more calmly prepare their attack. The light of the radiance supreme deity grows ever stronger. As the heavenly domain contracts further, the universe becomes filled with light and heat, reverting to its primordial state. Thus, the power of light also strengthens. Filling the heavens azure arrow. Plus filling the heavens flower garden. From behind the great forest heavenly lord, a rain of azure arrows capable of destroying the universe falls. From in front of the flower plant heavenly lord, flowers of light that can devour the cosmos begin to take root and surge toward me. Plus filling the heavens great sun. Plus filling the heavens torch candy. Warurururuk. A blazing fire that could burn heaven and earth spreads throughout the world and begins to scorch me. Hundreds of billions of stars are born through the great sun heavenly lord, and quintillions of explosions crash over us like a tidal wave under the torch candle heavenly lord. Filling the heavens sword rain. The familiar downpour of sword-guided star rain begins to fall from the sky. And then, plus filling the heavens shattered pearls. Juk. Jayaja. At the immortal art of the Pearl Jade Heavenly Lord, the ultimate techniques of the 8 immortals begin to shatter all at once. The rain of blue arrows, the garden of flowers, the suns and explosions, even the downpour of sword-guided star rain, all scatter into pieces. And then, they begin to mix together. Filling the heavens returning to one. The rain-dew Heavenly Lord reconfigures the intermingled fragments of light, creating a new ultimate technique woven from the ultimate techniques of the 8 immortals. It takes the form of a spear. This is dangerous. Chiak. The Radiance 8 immortals each grasp 8 spears in both hands. The spears of divine light, forming a spear array, are aimed directly at us standing above ascension path at the center of the Palace of Radiance, and as I see the massive force condensed within those spear tips, cold sweat trickles down my back. This is really dangerous. This isn't the usual attack from the Radiance 8 immortals, where they simply toss out the symbol of Huxia or shoot a few light beams when things get tough. This is a properly formed immortal art-linked attack. It should be considered a proper mantra at the level of Supreme Deity. Wong. Then, beginning with the Great Forest Heavenly Lord, all 8 Heavenly Lords simultaneously throw their spears of light. I have to dodge this no matter what. Plus filling the heavens annihilation sea. The Great Sea Heavenly Lord creates the form of rain across the sky surrounding the falling spears of light. The immortal art of hiding in the rain, which I had obtained when I once perceived them, begins to conceal those spears of light within the downpour. The torrential downpour of indigo light, created by the Great Sea Heavenly Lord, lashes down upon us, making the true attack of the Radiance 8 immortals impossible to see. I want to dodge, but because I am in the middle of compressing the heavenly domain with the phenomena extinguishing mantra, the rain is all being drawn toward me, and perhaps because the mantra originates from the Radiance 8 immortals, I don't even believe I could avoid those spears. The rain made of light begins to pierce into my body. And the 8 spears of light hidden within the rain. This is. I let out a bitter laugh at the immense force engraved upon those spears. If I dodge, Oh Yun Sok and the others will definitely die. Even if I halt the phenomena extinguishing mantra and deflect them, the residual explosion will kill my comrades. I can't cancel it out. Each of these spears is an unimaginable and deranged strike at least on par with the annihilation advancement Mu of the Great Mountain Supreme Deity, my own Sword God Dance, or the Void Dance of Hyeon Mu. And then, I hear one of the spears of light speaking to me. It is the decisive strike that brought down the Jade Pivot 48 Lightning Heavenly Great Immortals of the Heavenly Punishment Supreme Deity, leaving the Supreme Deity in a near-death state and sealing them in the Horseear Heavenly Domain. It's Jiwa's heart language. She is speaking to me through the light spear she had thrown. Even if it couldn't kill the heavenly venerable of the underworld, this mantra was created to inflict a fatal wound upon the Gandhara if landed directly. The decisive reason the Radiance 8 immortals were able to escape from Vast Cold during the Vast Cold Great War even though only one member survived. It is the mantra of the Radiant's Supreme Deity, God-Killing Spear. Number 3818. God-Killing Spear Mantra. It is the terrifying pinnacle of attacks that links and amplifies the greatest ultimate techniques of the Radiant's 8 Immortals. If it's your conceptual severing mountain swordsmanship 36th move, the strength might exceed this, but you won't be able to sweep all 8 spears at once. It's better to continuously unleash Sword God Dance. The spear of the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord, who has given me a counter-strategy in her own way, pierces into my chest in an instant. At the same time, I smile. Because the spear she threw doesn't contain the power of destruction, but is filled with my nascent soul in her own heart. While maintaining the phenomena extinguishing mantra, I raise the jade of yin-yang and 5 elements above my head and swing the impermanent sword. Jiwa's heart divine descends. Sword God Dance. The sword glows white-hot and connects with Jiwa's heart. And as I connect with her heart, I am able to detect all the hidden spears of light within the immortal art of the Great Sea Heavenly Lord. The Spear of Great Forest. Wong. The spear of the Great Forest Heavenly Lord and my Sword God Dance collide and cancel each other out before my eyes. Next, the spear of the Flower Plant Heavenly Lord targets me. I can do this. Sword God Dance. Second strike. Shukwick. I use the authority of the Immortal Beast King to re-summon Jiwa's heart that I had just spent, and I cancel out the second Spear of Light. Please. The third Spear of Light. The Spear of Great Sun. Sword God Dance. Third strike. Suat. Light infuses into my sword. With the reckless and forceful consecutive slashes of Sword God Dance, the blood veins all over my body burst, and the Pengu true blood I received from Hyeon Rang begins to spray wildly. And I finally succeed in blocking the third spear. Hyok, Hyok. Erupting with mental speech, I gasp and exhale heaven and earth's spiritual energy. My twilight true energy is completely dried up. My entire body trembles. In a state already completely exhausted from facing Hyeon Rang, I forced out 3 consecutive strikes of Sword God Dance. It feels like my soul is being shaved away. I can't endure to the 4th strike of Sword God Dance. The 4th one is Kuring, Kurururung. The scattered Pengu true blood around me begins to resonate with my will. Pengu's Genesis. The innate authority of the Pengu true blood stirs primal chaos and primordial chaos, beginning to create an immense space. Though at my current rank of still a mere heaven-earth great net, forming a heavenly domain is difficult. I am also the Immortal Beast King. With the authority of the Immortal Beast King added to Pengu's Genesis, a small heavenly domain is formed. The explosive force of that domain launches with precise direction, guided by my martial pinnacle level senses. Tukwong. A massive black waterfall blasts upward toward the sky, colliding head-on with the spear of the Torch Candle Heavenly Lord. 3 spears remain. They are the spears of Torch Candle, Great Sea, and Rain Dew. If it's only 3, having exhausted all strength from maintaining the phenomena extinguishing mantra, I lose the last of my energy. In the end, I have no choice but to be struck by the remaining 3 spears. Tukuong. The spears of Curl Jade, Great Sea, and Rain Dew pierce through my face, chest, and lower dantian respectively. Is this also retribution? For some reason, ever since I came to wield the Impermanence Sword, it feels as if the retribution of the Impermanence Sword applies to me as well. With all 3 dantians pierced by the spears of light, I throw my entire body into blocking the shockwaves of the spears. The spears of light explode. Flash. With the explosion of light, I grit my teeth and use every bit of my strength to postpone death. TSTSTSTST. It feels like all of heaven and earth is engulfed in radiance. I blacked out for a moment. The explosions of the spears of light were so immense that even I, who is used to pain, briefly lost consciousness. But even so, it's just a fleeting instant within Araya's speed. Though the time wasn't enough to be a threat, it's certainly a deadly ultimate technique. It is quite literally a mantra made solely for destruction. ... If Jiwa wasn't on my side, this would have been the end of this cycle. Trying to block all 8 of those would have torn my body apart with nothing left. Tuaa. As the light fades from the sky, the arrogant figures of the Radiance 8 Immortals appear above the sky. They have every reason to be arrogant. Because the God-Killing Spear mantra is activating once more. Grasping the 8 spears of light again, the Radiance 8 Immortals look down at me and speak. This is our final warning. Immortal Beast King who bears the lineage of the Mountain Divine Spirit, heed our counsel. Then, I grin. ... As I've said again and again, but I now have only enough energy left to maintain the phenomena extinguishing mantra, but it doesn't matter. I will not join hands with you. This isn't simply a matter of my own safety and self-preservation. To follow them would mean throwing away all hope. For the sake of your so-called ideals, you treat everything in between like garbage. In the end, even those ideals are hollow. I will never bow beneath something so empty, so be it. The great forest heavenly lord nods, and that is the end of it. The 8 god-killing spears come flying once again. Radiance Hall, truly a powerful group. Having exhausted myself from fighting Hyeon Rang, I stand no chance against them within the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain, the territory of Radiance Hall. But thankfully, it seems I have bought enough time. Yi and ah, yes, Unyun Orabeoni. As I collapse in my transformation form, Kim Yeon approaches and pours energy into me. My 3 dantians regenerate, and I glance around. Immortal Art Yeon's play. Due to the Yeon's play spread across Ascension Path, the past of when we first arrived in Ascension Path is manifested. Even though our main bodies have not all arrived in the dangerous Heavenly King Heavenly Domain, we have all been able to gather here through Yeon's play, using that scene from the past as a medium. Me, the projection of Kim Young-hoon, Jaeon Myung-hoon, Kong Min-hee, Oh Yun-sok, Kim Yeon, Oh Hai-seo. All of us have gathered in this place, gazing up at the sky. Kurururun. Jaeon Myung-hoon swings the heavenly lightning banner, activating his authority. The causality of Zhengli, who has previously been struck by the god-killing spear, begins to forcibly invoke judgment upon the god-killing spear and block it. However, perhaps because even that causality, which once caused the heavenly punishment supreme deity and the Jade Pivot 48 lightning heavenly great immortals to suffer a major defeat, is still only a part of the god-killing spear's might, the attack is blocked but not cancelled, and the spear merely halts in the sky. And the Radiance 8 immortals, unconcerned, begin forming a third god-killing spear. Once again, the 8 heavenly lords grasp their spears of light. Do something before that one flies. That one can't be blocked. At Jaeon Myung-hoon's words, I nod and look at Oh Yun-sok. Hung Nim, are you ready? Yeah. Oh Yun-sok, having completed all preparations, raises his arm, and I release the phenomena extinguishing mantra I was using to restrain the Radiance 8 immortals until everything is ready. How pitiful. The strike that felled Hyeon Rang was strong, but if it doesn't hit, then it is meaningless. A mere thrust slower than the speed of light. Then, Kong Min-hee pulls something out from her bosom. Queric, 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 Queric. Itis Tangwa. A total of 7 Tangwa rise behind Kong Min-hee. Suet. Mantra. Unorthodox true martial arts. Heart and Heaven Tangwa. Shiver. The enlightenment of the heavenly venerable of the underworld activates through Kong Min-hee. And among the attributes of the Heart and Heaven Tangwa, the strongest attribute, the attribute of certain hit imbues into Oh Yun-sok's fist. Suat. The world turns silver, and Oh Yun-sok stretches out his arm. Regardless of speed, it hits without fail. Zero wing. Nameless one fist. Wong. Oh Yun-sok's one fist. The fist pressure released from the silver world burns through the sky and directly strikes the giants of light. Tukwong. With that blow, the great forest heavenly lord explodes. Because the star of prophecy exists, resurrection will surely occur, but in the immediate battlefield, the great forest heavenly lord instantly drops out, and the Radiance 8 immortals visibly falter. Do not be shaken. At best, it is a single fist. It cannot be used more than once in success. The Rain-Dew Heavenly Lord tries to calm the Radiance 8 immortals, but Oh Hai-seo sneers. The authority truth manipulation and my wheel move simultaneously. The truth where Oh Yun-sok just used his one fist and squeezed out all his strength is undone, and Oh Yun-sok regains his energy. Once more, Oh Yun-sok loads up his nameless one fist. Wong. Next is the Flower Plant Heavenly Lord. Ender. The Rain-Dew Heavenly Lord screams, and again, truth manipulation and the wheel turn as Oh Yun-sok loads his fist. Nameless one fist, third strike. Tukwong. The Great Sun Heavenly Lord dies. Nameless one fist, fourth strike. Quagwong. A torrent of silver fist pressure crashes forward, and the Torch Candle Heavenly Lord dies. Nameless one fist, fifth strike. Next is the Rain-Dew Heavenly Lord. Their gaze, filled with blazing light, continues to pierce through us until the very end. Nameless one fist, sixth strike. The Great Sea Heavenly Lord bursts apart. With each strike released, Oh Yun-sok's eyes grow ever clearer. Then, at some point, Suaa, I begin to see something. Itis the Dharma form of a colossal warrior. Behind Oh Yun-sok, the Tangwa of a giant benevolent king rises. I feel as if I finally understand the condition to awaken as Heavenly King. To risk one's life in order to truly feel one's fate. To avoid becoming cowardly. To face oneself head-on. Even while forcibly squeezing out his strength through my wheel and Ohai Seo's truth manipulation, he is throwing his whole body forward. The realm only those with the courage to burn away everything of themselves can reach. That is, the domain of Heavenly King. Seventh strike. Only then do the third set of god-killing spears begin to fall, but even so, Oh Yun-sok's one fist is faster. In an instant, Oh Yun-sok tears apart the immortal art of light speed enforcement with his very body and begins to, fully, enter a new domain. Kwang. The Pearl Jade Heavenly Lord bursts apart and dies, reaching toward the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord, but vanishes entirely in the end. Across the Sumeru Three Heavens Great Thousand World, the name of a new Heavenly King begins to resound. However, Kwang, Oh Yun-sok slams his fist into his own chest, blocking the spreading resonance of that name from within himself. Don't need some grand name. Is it an enlightenment gained from killing the owner of names? With a bitter expression, Oh Yun-sok suppresses his new Heavenly King name and begins to rename it by his own will. Is it an immortal art he learned from the owner of names, or something Hyeon Rang gifted him in his final moment? Oh Yun-sok's Heavenly King name rings out in a low voice from his own lips, so only we can hear. A silver Heavenly King without a name is enough. Silver nameless Heavenly King, Riste. Thus, the nameless silver Heavenly King, who erased his own name, is newly born in the stillness after all the turmoil has subsided. 732. In the midst of silence, I gaze at the ceiling of Radiance Palace. Above Radiance Palace, blown open by the fierce battle between the Radiance Eight Immortals and us, only the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord Jiwa remains, floating loftily and alone. Thank you. I send a hard message to her, and Jiwa answers by nodding. Wo Wang. Then, by her will, the god-killing spears flying toward us all explode in the void, and the explosive force doesn't reach us at all. Go. Within this explosion, not even the resplendent treasure immortals or envoys of the final age of Dharma will be able to see inside. Amid the explosion, I lay the bodies of the other comrades over the shoulders of Oh Yun-sok, who is still unconscious while standing, and meet eyes with Jaeon Myung-hoon. I had them wait at the Sun and Moon Heavenly Domain. All right, Kwakijijiked. Jaeon Myung-hoon begins to activate the returning lightning strike spell of the Red Lightning Heavenly Tribulation, and we begin to be transported to the Sun and Moon Heavenly Domain from where he came. Kurururung. Turning into lightning alongside Jaeon Myung-hoon, I lock eyes with the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord. Kill me once before you go. I understand what she means. Got it. In our current state depleted of energy, if we leave her behind without killing all the resplendent treasure immortals or the envoys of the final age of Dharma, it could leave suspicion that the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord harbors treason. Anyway, as long as a prophecy remains, death for a true immortal is nothing more than falling into a temporary sleep. I can just think of it as putting her to sleep for a while. While heading toward the Sun and Moon Heavenly Domain inside Jaeon Myung-hoon's lightning bolt, I swing the impermanence sword and send a hard message. Well then, farewell. Let's meet again later. Weren't we always together? A wise answer to a foolish question. Suat. Impermanence sword. Twin flowers reaching the heavens. White orchid flower. Pot. The impermanence sword becomes a blessing imbued with the power of white orchid, ending her painlessly and in an instant within the blessing. At the same time, we begin to move properly toward the faraway Sun and Moon Heavenly Domain. Kururururung. They are escaping. Intercept them. The 33 heavenly resplendent treasure immortals and the envoys of the final age of Dharma begin bombarding us with all sorts of prophecies and immortal arts. However, as Ohai Seo's truth manipulation and my wheel begin to turn simultaneously, their immortal arts and prophecies start flying off in completely wrong directions, and we arrive at the Sun and Moon Heavenly Domain in an instant. Chile. I glance at the overloaded wheel. Maybe I've been overworking it recently. Now that I've become the immortal Beast King, the wheel has granted me almost all of its authority, and only now is it possible to properly draw out or overexert its power. But starting from the Sal Tree battle to the naming Supreme Deity War. Perhaps due to excessive overuse lately, I can see signs of cracks or fractures. I need to treat the wheel too. I store the wheel away again and look around. We've returned safely to the Sun and Moon Heavenly Domain, and overwhelming presences can be felt from the direction of the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain. They will be following us soon enough. Do you have a plan? Glass Peacock weakly licks and tastes Oh Yun-sok's shoulder as they ask, and Jaeon Myung-hoon replies. Don't worry, Kwakijijiked. Soon, red lightning bursts forth from Jaeon Myung-hoon's body, and something begins to appear in the Sun and Moon Heavenly Domain. A mechanical device resembling a celestial sphere, scattering countless lightning bolts as it activates. Itis the immortal treasure, great desolate path. Glass Peacock licks their lips as they see the spirit of Golden Shaking Bird inside the great desolate path, and Golden Shaking Bird trembles at the sight of Glass Peacock. Master, no matter what, are you really going to bring that thing in here? Quiet, Golden Shaking Bird. Everyone, get on for now. If we stay in the Sun and Moon heavenly domain, we'll just be hunted down. First, we move beyond the Heavenly King heavenly domain. We enter the Great Desolate Path, and under Jaeon Myung-hoon's guidance, we begin to teleport to another heavenly domain. Pachijijik. The Great Desolate Path becomes enveloped in lightning and starts to stir Indra's net, seeming to ripple it as we begin to shift to another place. Chialpiok, Chialpiok. Upon arriving inside the Great Desolate Path, all of us collapse onto the floor in exhaustion. Then, as Glass Peacock crawls across the floor toward the fallen Azure Pung flinches and pulls away from them. Would it not be better to go to the underworld? Azure Pung asks, avoiding the sticky gaze of Glass Peacock who is clinging to her, and Jaeon Myung-hoon answers instead. No, soon, the great mountain supreme deity is said to descend. At those words, Azure Pung breaks out into a cold sweat and speaks. Right, well, I know the great mountain supreme deity is reciting the splitting heaven mantra. And, haven't heard your detailed plans after the naming supreme deity war, but, why in the world are we going deeper inside Mount Sumeru if the great mountain supreme deity is descending? Rather, would it not be better to gather strength inside the Gandhara of the imperial venerables outside Mount Sumeru? There's that too, but we have our own tasks to complete as well, and it was agreed that the best method for Seo Eun-yun to intercept and strike down the great mountain supreme deity is when they are activating the splitting heaven mantra. Wait, then, we are really not going to the underworld. Not even stopping by at all. There's no real reason to go. And we probably can't even if we wanted to. The Radiance Hall bastards are all furious now and will probably seal off the borders of the underworld completely. If you wanted to go, that last moment was likely your final chance. And no, don't worry too much. Me, Kong Min-hee, Yun So-kung Nim, and even Seo Eun-yun. With beings of governing immortal level combat strength gathered in one place, if we just hide and recover our strength for a bit, even Radiance Hall won't really be much of a threat anymore. You don't need to worry about threats to your life or being captured, sealed, and tortured by Radiance Hall. At Jaeon Myung-hoon's casual words, Azure Pung's face gradually turns pale. Quirurururung. We move once again inside the world of lightning, and this time, the destination is somewhere inside the inner sea of Mount Sumeru. Wait, then what? What about me, too? Azure Pung, now completely white and pale, begins to struggle to get away from Glass Peacock's proximity. Glass Peacock grins from ear to ear and crawls over to Azure Pung, wrapping their arms around Azure Pung's waist. Hey, since His Majesty the Supreme Deity helped recall our past lives, shall we start with the sibling setting, sister? Hylique, G, get away from me, you crazy bastard. Wait, right, Lord Judge. Azure Pung looks at Kong Min-hee and reaches out her hand. Lord Judge, please save me. No, if it is a Lord Judge, then you surely possess the authority to ignore the power of Radiance Hall and move to the underworld. Lord Judge. However, Kong Min-hee meets Azure Pung's eyes, and after a brief moment, she awkwardly smiles and averts her gaze. Yes, have a beautiful love. Azure Pung's face becomes blank with despair, and whether it's from drawing on strength they don't have through lust, Glass Peacock pounces on Azure Pung's body and sinks their teeth deep into her nape. Soon after, under Glass Peacock's power, the two immortal beasts transform entirely into animal form. Glass Peacock becomes a pure white peacock, while Azure Pung turns into a small blue bird. The white peacock crushes the pigeon-sized blue bird beneath its massive body, then uses its large beak to prod all over the blue bird's feathers, plucking out the wing feathers to keep it from flying away. Then, it grabs the blue bird in its beak and, tottering away, disappears into the depths of the great desolate path. Faced with the absurd scene, we are left speechless. The spirit of Golden Shaking Bird, perhaps sensing the passionate mating of the two birds coming from one side of the great desolate path, awkwardly blushes. S0, what are you going to do? Jaeon Myung-hoon asks me, and I, trying to break the awkward atmosphere, once again speak of our next course. First, if we keep drifting around the inner sea, the Radiance Hall bastards will catch on. So, let's go to any of the heavenly domains and hide. There aren't many heavenly domains left at this point. There's still the twin-holding heavenly domain. At those words, Jaeon Myung-hoon makes a strange expression, then teleports the great desolate path toward the twin-holding heavenly domain. Kururum. It's been a long time since I came to the twin-holding heavenly domain, and it's not in a normal condition. What should I even call this? Starting from the recent extraction and refinement of the twin-holding heavenly domain's supreme deity, the swallowing heaven supreme deity, to the light that once covered the whole world being condensed by radiance hall to seal the naming supreme deity, to the Sal tree heavenly venerable disappearing and the naming supreme deity rampaging, many events have happened. Now, the twin-holding heavenly domain is collapsing, and countless unaffiliated true immortals are gathering there, supplying power to keep the heavenly domain from crumbling entirely. Even so, the collapse of the twin-holding heavenly domain continues, and it seems it will likely be completely destroyed in the next few 100 million years. Wo Wang. As the five desires chain enters the twin-holding heavenly domain, the power of the swallowing heaven supreme deity seems to activate, slowing down the collapse. If a typical supreme deity were to see their heavenly domain in such a state, they would rush in to fix it. But the swallowing heaven supreme deity seems uninterested and leaves the domain to collapse without intervening. Well, anyway, the rate of collapse has slowed. It'll probably take several billion years before this heavenly domain completely falls apart. And, look up at the sky. I can feel it, from the moment the great mountain supreme deity became able to follow my regressions. While I was trapped in the radiance mantra and repeated regressions 1,000 times, he took control of practically all of the splitting heaven mantra. And, having seized control over the entire splitting heaven mantra, he's planning something. As one who became the junior brother of the great mountain supreme deity, I immediately understood after hearing from Yun Sok about mountain-destroying demon ape. Completely subduing mountain-destroying demon ape. That's what the great mountain supreme deity has been waiting for. And now that Yun Sok has come over to our side, he must have nearly subdued and reabsorbed mountain-destroying demon ape. What remains now is to activate the splitting heaven mantra, descend upon this Mount Sumeru, sweep everything away, and challenge the audience chamber. And by tracing back the remaining will of mountain-destroying demon ape lingering on Yun Sok, I calculate the time until the great mountain supreme deity fully reabsorbs mountain-destroying demon ape and descends here. 110,000 years. At my words, everyone's eyes, including those of Yun Sok, who is finally coming to his senses, turn to me. From now, in 110,000 years. By my measure, it is a span as long as eternity. And by the measure of Kim Yeon, Oh Hai Seo, and the others who still do not perceive the regression, it is the year that marks 330,000 years since we fell into Mount Sumeru. The great mountain supreme deity will descend. I bow my head to my comrades and ask with sincerity. It's shameless, and saying something like this might make me seem like a madman, but I hate being in a situation where I have to say this. But I must, and they are likely expecting it too. Quote. Please, will you risk your lives and join me in killing the great mountain supreme deity? At my words asking them to stake their lives, Jaeon Myung-hoon smiles faintly. Obviously, Kang Min-hee neatly ties her hair, straightens her robes, and gleams her blue eyes before me. As many times as needed. Yun Sok, still barely coming to his senses, manages to raise his body and smiles. Of course, Kim Yeon speaks with a gentle smile. There's no way we wouldn't. Oh Hai Seo, too, perhaps because of been attaching the fragment of her spirit to gracious soul filling the heavens, gradually helping her recall past cycles, gives a bitter smile and nods. Then, the five desires chains that burst forth from within me all kneel before me and cry out. Give us your command, Jaeon Myung-hoon, Kang Min-hee, Yun Sok, Kim Yeon, Oh Hai Seo. Hong Fan, Ham Jin, Yo-hee, Yu-hee, swallowing heaven. At this moment, a total of 10 comrades nod in unison and give their consent before me. That their lives may be staked as many times as needed. Quote. Yeah, thank you. The time remaining until the great mountain supreme deity arrives is 110,000 years. Now that Yun Sok has fully seized the origin essence of mountain-destroying demon ape, even if I regress again, that time will continue to decrease identically. So what remains is, in the remaining 110,000 years, to prepare to the utmost and face the great mountain supreme deity. 733. Kwaik. The first thing I do in twin-holding heavenly domain is perform heavenly escape. Heavenly escape, the transcendental technique of the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts, can be used in the same way as the record, and I use it to cast heavenly escape inside a nebula in the twin-holding heavenly domain, hiding us from the world. Even light cannot find us. Moreover, the twin holding heavenly domain is currently in a state where many true immortals are preventing its collapse, so it'll be that much difficult to detect traces of heavenly escape due to the remnants of that collapse. There's absolutely no way we'll be discovered within a mere 110,000 years. Kururum. I construct a suitable stellar system inside the nebula where I deploy heavenly escape. I configure the star to possess the attribute of Gyung, so even if the Radiance 8 immortals notice, the first to receive the signal would be the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord Jiwa, allowing for sufficient countermeasures. First, I create a suitable planet within the stellar system along with my comrades and descend there. As soon as the Great Desolate Path arrives at the planet, a blue bird flees from its interior. But immediately after, the now larger glass peacock chases after it. Clicking my tongue, I stop concerning myself with where they go and divert the planet's spirit vein to my companions. Suat. Soon after, those who have spent considerable power in the naming supreme deity battle begin regaining their strength one by one, and recover enough for my mind to work properly. As a bit of energy redoms, the internal ecosystem of my immortal body begins functioning properly again, and twilight true energy starts generating in greater quantity. First, need to do something about my race, which is still in the form of a parrot. Since Hyeon Rang renamed my race as Immortal Beast Parrot and left without undoing I'm still not a candle dragon, but a parrot. Since the one who renamed me, the naming supreme deity, had died, the renaming effect is gradually wearing off. However, much of my Earth immortal powers will remain sealed as long as I remain a parrot, so removing the renaming as soon as possible would aid my recovery. Wu Wang. History revision. I imbue the moment in history when I was renamed a parrot with my own interpretation and will. By adding the interpretation that I had already prepared a countermeasure for the renaming at that time. Before long, the renaming is undone. TSTSTSTSTs. J. As Taiji dyes the surroundings, I return from being the Immortal Beast Parrot to the Immortal Beast Candle Shadow. The power and authority of the Immortal Beast Candle Shadow begin to return, and the authority of the Immortal Beast King connected to it also comes back. And, I sense the Pengu True Blood Hyeon Rang left to me. Since it's come to this, I begin fusing the Candle Shadow True Blood and the Pengu True Blood. Yurururung. The Candle Shadow True Blood is one that deviated from the original bloodline of the human race, transforming due to regression in the Radiance Mantra. Hence, it isn't difficult to fuse with the true blood of Go that human race cultivators gain upon becoming an immortal beast as they share the same root. Wu Wang. The innate authority of Candle Shadow True Blood is Glass True Fire and Mental Awakening. And the innate authority of Pengu True Blood is Dreams and the link to Primordial Chaos RT. Through dreams, one can reach the original primordial chaos, and through it, either summon the power of dreams into reality or forcibly drag someone in reality into the dreams. Even Hyeon Rang's immortal arts, such as Pengu's Genesis, which create heavenly domains through the power of dreams, are based on such a principle. I begin to mix the two true bloods within my heart essence. Something rises before my eyes. A Taiji in the shape of a fetus. A spiraling dragon, each is a symbol of the immortal beast Pengu and the immortal beast Candle Shadow. Uduk, Udududuk. As the two true bloods merge, I feel an immense power boiling within my body, and at the same time, I sense that a significant amount of my energy is recovering. I can feel it. The power of the immortal beast True Blood is flowing into me. I realize that immense strength is being infused into my body, and simultaneously, I sense that the form of the immortal beast Candle Shadow is changing. Kurururung. Thunderstorms roar, and I transform into the form of Candle Shadow. In an instant, I exit the planet, taking on the form of a body of mist with a head of candle flame. Then, the Candle Shadow form, now fused with the Pengu True Blood, begins to change as if undergoing complete transformation. This is Uduk, Udududuk. As the human True Blood and Candle Shadow True Blood intermingle, the original form of the Candle Dragon, which only had a humanoid head, now transforms, with the entire upper body becoming humanoid. Warurururuk. The glass true fire that formed the candle flame head flows downward, forming arms and a torso on the upper body of the Candle Dragon. Copyright. I exhale glass true fire and twilight true energy, gazing upon the transformed immortal beast body. My face remains completely shrouded in candle flame and cannot be seen, but the humanoid upper body is fully exposed. The face burns with candy fire. The upper body has transformed into a mysterious form made of aurora, while the lower body is that of a snake's tail made of pale mist. Thus, my immortal beast form has changed into that of a half-human, half-snake god. Wu Wang. At that moment, I also become aware of the fragments of my power spreading from me. I sense that the forms of the Candle Dragon race, who inherited my Candle Dragon true blood and are scattered throughout all of the heavenly domains, are also changing. Originally, the Candle Dragon race had only human heads, and only after reaching the transformation stage could their upper bodies become somewhat human. But now, their default form is that of the humanoid upper body and serpent lower body. Moreover, with the added power of the Pengu true blood, Candle Dragons can now reproduce with the human race even without reaching the transformation stage. Author's note. In this work, the minimum realm for interbreeding between different races to produce half-blood offspring is the nascent soul stage, aka transformation stage. Additionally, the Candle Dragon race now possess much stronger illusion-type powers, and their raw physical strength has increased as well. At this level, they have essentially become a superior race on par with the actual Dragon race, the Fighting Ghost race, or even the direct descendants of immortal beasts. And they are not even direct blood descendants, but ones derived from the fragments of my power. If a child were to be born with the power of my direct bloodline, that child would possess strength sufficient to match beings at the 4-axis stage who weren't born with special talents, just with the power of the immortal beast true blood alone. As that realization crosses my mind, a faint, constricting pain squeezes my chest, and I shake my head. Someday. Time has already passed, so even the fact that that child once existed disappeared beyond the timeline. But that timeline still exists somewhere. So, someday, I will return to that timeline, and give you life once more. Whether I let them be born as my direct descendant through my bloodline in Mount Sumer, or I go to Earth and let them live a peaceful life in a world without monsters, beasts, spirits, and gods. I will gift you a happy life once more. To my child who exists in that distant timeline, I make a vow I will never forget, and in doing so, I complete the unification between the immortal beast true bloods. Looks like everyone's regained some strength. Before I know it, several years have passed, and we've all more or less regained our strength. Yeah, I've become pretty capable again. I might not be able to bring out the full power of a heavenly king yet, but if Radiance Hall shows up, I can at least hit them a few times. Oh Yun Sok opens and closes his fist with a grin, and I nod as I look at him and the others. The reason I asked you all to gather today, is just one. Kim Yeon and Oh Hai Seo. I look at the two of them and speak. We have to become heavenly kings. Enders can't become supreme deities, so at the very least, we need to become governing immortal rank heavenly kings to increase the chances of surviving the Great Mountain Supreme Deity battle. At minimum, Kim Yeon, Oh Hai Seo, you two must become heavenly kings. I've already become an immortal beast king and have seen the ultimate of martial arts, so I'm essentially between supreme deity and heavenly venerable, but you two, at best, are still a bit short of barely qualifying as supreme deity. Of course, if Kim Yeon manifests the power of vast cold, draws upon the power of the bright cold realm, or controls it, she instantly grows strong enough to reach at least the level of supreme deity. But that power comes with too many weaknesses. Yeon's play is a broadly applicable and versatile immortal art, but it's not at the level of a supreme deity rank immortal art or mantra. If an immortal art or mantra that counters Yeon's play appears, it could be neutralized completely without resistance. The same goes for drawing upon the power of the bright cold realm or controlling it. It's a power that becomes entirely powerless in the presence of immortal arts or laws that disable the use of true immortal remains. She now needs to reach Heavenly King with her own power and be able to confront governing immortals with her own strength. At that moment, Oh Hai Seo raises her hand in response to my words and speaks. How exactly do you reach Heavenly King? At that, I nod. I don't know either, but, the Heavenly Venerable of the Underworld once said this generation is one that all the gods are paying close attention to. In all of history, much less a generation in which this many Enders survived, a generation where this many reached Heavenly King is unprecedented. In fact, the Imperial Venerable said that a generation where more than 3 Enders reached Heavenly King can be counted in less than 10 fingers. Even though we can't meet him. Right now, if we count Kim Young-hoon, then 4 of us Enders have reached Heavenly King. This must be one of the handful of golden generations. So, if Jaeon Myung-hoon, Kong Min-hee, and Yun Sok Hung Nim share their experience with you, the difficulty should drop considerably. Oh Hai Seo nods as if somewhat convinced, and I, too, place some hope on them. If even Kim Yeon and Oh Hai Seo reach Heavenly King safely, then I'll have 5 teachers who can help me reach Heavenly King myself. Honestly, even though I've learned what my fate is, I still can't grasp the power of the Absolute at all. I have no idea how to retrieve my authority from Hong Fan, and I don't even have the slightest clue how to become a Heavenly King. Still, if 5 people reach Heavenly King ahead of me and teach me, then no matter how much of a fool I am, I'll surely be able to understand it. Alright, got it. Oh Hai Seo nods in agreement, and then Kong Min Hee speaks up. By the way, Seo Eun-yun. Yeah, you seem like you've got something to say, but you're hesitating over whether to say it or not, aren't you? At her words, I laugh awkwardly. She's right. Besides the matter of awakening to Heavenly King, there's something else I need to tell them. Quote. Let me ask again. At the Great Mountain Supreme Deity battle, are you willing to stake your lives? At my words, no one answers. Silence. And in that silence, I feel the emotion that this is so obvious, it doesn't even require an answer. Quote. Yeah, thank you, for placing your hands on my grudge. Everyone currently here is prepared to fight and die with me against the Great Mountain Supreme Deity. If that's the case, there's something that must be said here and now. If you are ready to die, then there's something I need to say to you. The attention of my comrades focuses on me, and to these friends who are prepared for death, I let out a bitter statement. Everyone, prepare yourselves to die, to be defeated, to disappear, and leave behind a final will. At my following words, my comrades all fall into thoughtful expressions. Someday, if we are defeated and dead, and the next generation of Enders arrives, let's leave behind arrangements that can help them, even if it's only a little. Thus, from that day on, we begin preparing arrangements for the next generation of Enders. 734. Arrangement. Not simply a matter of us fighting the Great Mountain Supreme Deity and dying, but preparations for when my regression is completely severed, and I fall into ruin to the point that no revival is possible. Thump, thump, I sense the ripples from outside Mount Sumeru. Outside Mount Sumeru, the lingering reverberations of the Great Mountain Supreme Deity's splitting heaven mantra that makes the outer sea stir seem to grow clearer with passing moment. I feel it. The splitting heaven mantra is not a power that is less than the wheel at all. And that means the radiance mantra, which is on par with the wheel. In other words, my regression as well. It means that if I take a direct hit from the splitting heaven mantra, there is a possibility I will be torn apart. No, not a possibility. Recalling GWAKAM's Annihilation Advancement Mu, I remind myself that the worst-case scenario is in fact not far at all. T's dangerous. Only a strike that reaches the ultimate of martial arts can barely offset the simplified Splitting Heaven Mantra Annihilation Advancement Mu. The complete Splitting Heaven Mantra is, at least 10 times that. And while in numbers it is tenfold, in reality, by the time he swallows the entirety of Mount Sumeru and condenses it into a single point, he will transcend all laws of this world. If that happens, even if it's only for a single moment, he will truly stand equal to the absolute existence itself. Thinking of that terrifying possibility, I steel myself for the fact that this time, my regression may truly be shattered. And feeling my resolve, my comrades also harden their own as well. Quote. Everyone, thank you. I give a faint smile to the comrades who, here and now, match my resolve and are ready to stake their lives alongside me. After Seo Eun-yun finishes speaking to the comrades about the arrangement, they all disperse and begin leaving behind their own arrangements. Kuru Room. Jaeon Myung-hoon ponders what arrangement he should leave behind. Golden Shaking Bird. If, by chance, I die. Master, why in the world are you trying to go again? You're saying you'll go and leave Golden Shaking Bird behind again. In the form of a hummingbird, Golden Shaking Bird flutters, trembling all over atop Jaeon Myung-hoon's shoulder. Master, please, don't disappear again, leaving Golden Shaking Bird behind. If you disappear again and leave me, Jaeon Myung-hoon gazes silently at the tearful Golden Shaking Bird for a moment. Then, he gives a bitter smile. Quote. You must have been lonely. Quote. Master, Jaeon Myung-hoon gazes at Golden Shaking Bird for a long while. Quote. What do you think of Yang Soo-jin? The Thunder Beast Golden Shaking Bird was created by pouring an entire sect called the Lightning Bird Golden Shaking Sect into its making. Jaeon Myung-hoon still does not quite understand Golden Shaking Bird. He cannot grasp what thoughts make Golden Shaking Bird follow him in the first place. Yang Soo-jin, mean, do you not resent me? At those words, Golden Shaking Bird flutters up, somersaults in the air, and transforms into her transformation form. First, to begin with, I should say that our lightning bird golden shaking sect is, quite literally, a gathering of people saved by this one named Yongsu Jin. Jaeon Myung-hoon listens in silence to Golden Shaking Bird's story. The tale of how a sect called the Black Bird Star True Sect, which had served the entering nirvana quasi-immortal Yohei, withered under her tyranny until Yongsu Jin saved them. The tale of how Yongsu Jin lived with them and comforted each one of them. The tale of how Yongsu Jin shared with them the ideology of the world he came from, and through that ideology, bound the Lightning Bird Golden Shaking Sect together as one. And the tale of how, one day, when the United Lightning Bird Golden Shaking Sect fell into the crisis of annihilation after being caught by one of the true immortals of the Radiance Hall, Yongsu Jin, who happened to be too far away to help them directly, remotely cast the Lightning Beast refining technique to melt and fuse the sect into the Thunder Beast Golden Shaking Bird. Quote. We hold no grudge at all against the one called Yongsu Jin. On the contrary, compared to the useless days as the Lightning Bird Golden Shaking Sect, we are satisfied that, by becoming the existence known as Golden Shaking Bird, we can be of even greater help to him. In the first place, the creation of a Thunder Beast is not something with a high success rate. If even one member of the sect making the Thunder Beast does not love and respect the Thunder Beast's creator, the creation fails, and the spirits used in the process go straight to the underworld. Golden Shaking Bird kneels demurely before Jaeon Myung-hoon and smiles. Please do not trouble your heart, Master. As I say once again, we have all loved you, and none of us have ever disliked or hated you. So, there is no need for you to blame or reproach yourself too much. If there was ever a time we hated Master, there was only one. At Golden Shaking Bird's words, Jaeon Myung-hoon smiles bitterly. It was when you did not die with us, but died alone and perished. So please, do not even speak of suddenly going off somewhere on your own again. After locking eyes with Golden Shaking Bird for a while, Jaeon Myung-hoon smiles. Quote. All right, I understand, I promise. Jaeon Myung-hoon, who has been debating whether to reveal to this cycle's Golden Shaking Bird that he is not Yongsu Jin, simply nods with a bitter smile. Through his conversation with Golden Shaking Bird, he realizes what he must leave behind. Quote. Do not leave behind anything with feelings or a heart. Jaeon Myung-hoon decides not to leave behind Thunder Beasts like Golden Shaking Bird, as Yongsu Jin did. He will leave only teachings that have no heart and no pain. Quote. With 110,000 years, it should be enough time to found a sect and raise disciples. Just as Yongsu Jin once left behind the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, Jaeon Myung-hoon decides to leave behind a new sect as well as the Red Pearl Cycling Heavenly King. It seems Jaeon Myung-hoon is going to create his own sect. Forming one's own sect also seems like a good idea. Something like the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, an immortal Tao sect that can help us in the early stages would be good to have. I decide to join in as well. Wo Wang, I send one of my gang sphere clones over to Jaeon Myung-hoon to try creating a sect together with him. What kind of sect are you going to make? Jaeon Myung-hoon seems to ponder over the sect's name, then after a while, comes up with something decent. I'm debating between naming it Thunder Resonance Valley EZ and or Lightning Resonance Valley E85. Thunder Resonance Valley, Lightning Resonance Valley, those aren't great. How about Lightning Roar Valley 184? Since you're Jaeon Myung-hoon. TLN, Lightning Roar Valley uses the same Hangul as Jaeon Myung-hoon's name. It seems Jaeon Myung-hoon does not like that name, as he ignores my words entirely, sits in lotus position on a suitable spot of a suitable planet inside the heavenly escape realm where we are hiding, and closes his eyes. Jaeon Myung-hoon closes his eyes and blows out his breath, and from his breath, powerful wisdom bursts forth. That wisdom is contained in his winged garment and, following his will, flies out to somewhere beyond the heavenly escape domain. I also sit beside him, and in the same way, I place my wisdom into my winged garment and send it together with his winged garment beyond the heavenly escape realm. 11. As the owner of the seat of heavenly punishment, command. Kururum. Lightning gathers before Jaeon Myung-hoon, forming into a small bundle wrapped in thunder and lightning that floats in front of him. He then lifts the lightning bundle into the void and begins his prophecy. Plus in the Sumeru 3 heavens great thousand world, there shall surely be, within 1,000 li above the ground, one who follows my will. Kuguguging. The prophetic star imbued with Jaeon Myung-hoon's prophecy rises into the sky, gradually beginning to become a true star. Watching him, I too begin my prophecy. 1. Seo-un-yun, command. Earth axis heavenly domain. A planet called Pancheon star. One day, an unusual phenomenon appears there. Kurururung. Two massive balls of light fall from the sky, striking one place on Pancheon star, creating two celestial phenomena. The first celestial phenomenon is lightning C5. From the place where the ball of light falls, an immense energy of lightning flows out, forming a small sea of lightning. The second celestial phenomenon is sword. Mountain LL. All throughout the lightning sea, mountains of glass, crystal, and jade rise up like swords, and from those mountains, sharp sword energy flows like the wind. All the immortal Tao sects of Pancheon star are astonished, rushing to the site of the lightning sea and sword mountain in search of fortune. Indeed, in the place where the celestial phenomena of lightning sea and sword mountain unfold, immense heaven and earth spiritual energy and new energies surge forth, bringing enormous help to cultivation. Before long, 100 years have passed since the lightning sea and sword mountain appeared on Pancheon star. One day, a young martial artist living near the lightning sea sword mountain, pursued endlessly by a sect due to a grudge of resentment, loses his master and enters the lightning sea sword mountain. Inside, he hears a voice and accepts the fortune it offers, becoming within 10 years a cultivator of the core formation stage with immense strength. Following the guidance of the voice felt inside the lightning sea sword mountain, he resolves his grudge and gradually accepts the fortune of the lightning sea sword mountain. One day, he finally seizes the center of the lightning sea sword mountain, the very source of its power, and gains strength surpassing more than 2 realms. Many praise him as the one who has mastered both the power of lightning and the power of the sword mountain, calling him the lightning sword high person GEA. In time, the lightning sword high person refines his power and gathers those who praise him to establish his own immortal Tao sect. The lightning sword high person names his sect Thunder Resonance Valley, and after passing down his lightning path method to most of its members, he teaches a few with exceptional talent or an obsession bordering on madness the sword path method related to the sword. Those in Thunder Resonance Valley who receive the lightning path method become known as the Thunder Lightning faction, making up 9/10 of the sect. Those who receive the sword path method become known as the Colorless faction, making up the remaining 10th, and they cultivate their strength in the sword Tao within Thunder Resonance Valley. Not only on Pancheon star, but across every astral realm and every middle realm in all heavenly domains, similar immortal Tao sects arise and begin to walk similar paths. I can feel it. Across the universe, our prophecy scatters, and Thunder Resonance Valleys spring up like bamboo shoots after rain. So this is the power of a great net immortal and beyond. More than killing, destroying, and wreaking havoc with the power of a great net immortal, the way a single prophecy affects all of Mount Sumeru makes me feel the power of a great net immortal even more strongly. When I think about it, it makes sense. From the beginning, true immortality was never simply a realm for fighting. We are gods, beings who wish to change the world according to their own will. With a single word from us, the fates of entire worlds arise and are influenced. I can feel it. From within Jaeon Myonghoon's Thunder Resonance Valley, every being that reads the Sword Tao method, a part of the wisdom that flows from, feels as if they are within my grasp. On that distant Pancheon star, a sword cultivator of the Colorless faction is calling to me while performing a method that depicts my true body. Zero Immortal Beast King, grant me your strength. Just as in the Black Ghost Valley there were methods like the Yama Hidden Inheritance Will that calls upon Yan Luo to borrow strength, there are also methods that depict my true body, call my name, and borrow my power. I watch as my power flows to those who call upon it, feeling as though I am orchestrating countless lives and fates. Thus, I sit quietly with Jaeon Myonghoon and, as a gang sphere clone, begin shaping the world together with him. 735. Arrangement. Kong Minhee thinks for a long time about Seo Eun-yun's words. What can I even leave behind? In any case, there is not much arrangements she herself can leave behind. From the very beginning, rather than me leaving behind some half-hearted arrangement, it's far more effective if Master just lends a bit of power. That is the truth. Instead of her leaving behind some clumsy bit of strength, it is incomparably more efficient for the heavenly venerable of the underworld to grant a favor a few times to the later generation enders. The underworld once told Kong Minhee this. That they are sorry for treating her like an emotional trash can. But Kong Minhee does not think that way. Even if she is called an emotional trash can, to her, sorrow is power. And, since the sorrow the underworld has accumulated over eternal, unending ages is inexhaustible if one can handle it, Kong Minhee has never felt lacking in power ever since awakening as a heavenly king and gaining the ability to draw forth the underworld's sorrow. Even if it's not the same for other enders, Master takes special care of me and future lapis lazuli heavenly kings. Even if, as the underworld says, the reason is to serve the role of an emotional trash can, that alone makes it so that enders of sorrow have no need for arrangements at all. On top of that, it was said that even if an arrangement is made, the Radiance 8 Immortals and the like will just sweep it away. Ordinary arrangements are unnecessary. In that case, what I leave behind cannot be a simple arrangement. Kong Minhee understands her own position, and decides to leave behind a completely different kind of arrangement from all the previous generations. Things like mere lingering thoughts, sects, teachings, or methods will only vanish even if I leave them behind. Wu Wang. Kong Minhee rises into the space above the heavenly escape realm and begins weaving a principle through her own authority. Something appears in her hands. Pats tss. However, not long after, that something in her hands shatters. As expected, it's not easy. She slightly furrows her brows and continues trying to make something. Itis then, should I help? Startled by the sudden presence of someone who has come right beside her, Kong Minhee accidentally breaks the arrangement she was making. Crash. Quote. You came out like that on purpose to startle me, didn't you? Quote. Ah ha ha. Kong Minhee glares at the Gang Sphere clone of Xiao Unyun that has appeared beside her. Although it is a Gang Sphere clone, perhaps because it contains the will of a great net immortal, the clone resembles Xiao Unyun himself quite a lot. I had a hunch what you were making, so I thought I should help instead. Ha, funny, you've already sent a Gang Sphere clone to all the others too. At Kong Minhee's remark, Xiao Unyun gives an awkward laugh again. Seeing him like that, Kong Minhee smirks and speaks. Well, fine, I'll allow you to help. That's quite generous of you. Tss. Xiao Unyun's clone stretches out both hands in front of Kong Minhee, and Kong Minhee stretches both hands towards Xiao Unyun. Before long, the power of colorless and blue light clashes between them, sketching out something. Do you know exactly what I'm trying to make? Not exactly. I can only faintly read the hearts of those of heavenly venerable rank. Quote. A space where arrangements can be hidden. That is what she is trying to create. How many arrangements of enders have been swept away, seized, and buried in the head realm by Radiance Hall until now? Now, she will make it so such a thing never happens again. Our later generation enders will be able to hide their arrangements much more easily. Suet. The energies colliding between Kong Minhee's and Xiao Unyun's hands soon begin to take the form of a dark blue palace. Along the palace's outer walls, Xiao Unyun's impermanence sword settles in, activating heavenly escape, and Kong Minhee's law binds the impermanence sword in place, altering the power of heavenly escape to persist forever. Our next generation of enders will be able to discover this arrangement space once they've grown their strength to a certain level, and through it, they'll be able to pass down even more to their successors. Even if we fail in our generation, it doesn't matter. In some distant future, they will continue to inherit all the traces and arrangements of the previous generations, and someday, they will succeed. Kong Minhee. Xiao Unyun's filling the heavens governing view dwells in the palace, and Kong Minhee weaves it into the palace, laying a law so that any being who is not an ender will fail in every attempt to find it. What, then, if we succeed, this palace won't be needed, right? Quote. What are you talking about? You're the one who said to resolve for death and leave behind an arrangement. What I mean is, if we do succeed, what will we do with this palace? Well, then we'll leave it floating outside Mount Sumeru, and someday, let's all live there together. 0.2 inches. We'll leave our main bodies in that palace, give fortuitous encounters only to those who need them, and from inside the palace, we'll explore many worlds and travel. How about a house where we can all live together? Hearing Kong Minhee's words, Xiao Unyun smiles warmly, as if imagining such a future. That's nice. Really nice. Right, but you'll have to pay rent. Quote. Monthly or a lump sum? What? I thought you forgot all the concepts from Earth, but you remember that. Well, I'm not an idiot. Puhaha. Sharing banter back and forth, Kong Minhee laughs with Xiao Unyun as they look at the arrangement house, where they and their comrades might one day live. The two hide the arrangement space they have created within the principles of the world. Xiao Unyun's heavenly escape hides it deep within the domain of purity. In a depth even Hyeon Mu cannot find, they hide the palace of Kong Minhee's arrangement. Neither light nor fate will be able to discover it. Ever since the day he heard the suggestion to leave behind an arrangement, Oh Hyeon Sok has been continuously punching the void. Pong. The void shatters, containing Oh Hyeon Sok's fist. Pong. He endlessly repeats the stance of Azure Wing Heavenly Shatter, continuously thrusting with straight punches. Then one day, Oh Yun-sok suddenly realizes that Seo Eun-yun's Gang Sphere clone has been at his side for some time, repeating straight punches alongside him. Quote. What are you doing? I think I understand what Hung Nim wants to leave behind. I want to do it too. Well, fine by me. No words are needed. Oh Yun-sok wants to leave behind his one fist as an arrangement. More precisely, he wants to leave behind the sensation and enlightenment of squeezing his body to its limits and burning up his very flesh. He wants to leave behind an ultimate technique and enlightenment so that later generation enders, when they need power, can achieve their goals even if it means burning their lives away. Azure Wing Heavenly Shatter, my Zero Wing alone isn't enough. He remembers the admiration of Silver Basket. The words saying that a sprout has taken root in his fist. If those words are true, then that sensation of wringing out everything is not wrong. He wants to pass down his one fist, acknowledged even by the Creator God, to later generations. For that, Oh Yun-sok keeps repeating his straight punch, remembering the sensation from back then. And at some moment, Oh Yun-sok realizes that the sight of Seo Eun-yun throwing a punch beside him overlaps with himself. This is and from that moment on, Oh Yun-sok becomes aware that his fist is becoming even fiercer, exuding a more vicious might. He immediately understands why. This guy is tempering my mind together with Met, the existence called Seo Eun-yun, who reached martial pinnacle. He is a being who can only reach martial pinnacle by borrowing another's heart, and at the same time, the one who can lend martial pinnacle to others. Through Seo Eun-yun's help, Oh Yun-sok begins to feel that his one fist is growing strong enough to surpass the principles of the world and even destroy the world itself. And at a certain point, Oh Yun-sok begins to see a certain vision. This is Itis, the vision of a silver giant. That giant, leaving behind the being wearing a black Myangwan, extends a single fist toward the world of nothingness. Itis a straight punch much like Oh Hyun-sok's own. And the moment that straight punch touches the world of nothingness, along with a powerful awakening of the mind, Oh Yun-sok realizes that his fist, which holds no energy, no strength, no immortal art, has shattered space. The purest part within a human's mind. The most primordial chaos. He feels like he understands the moment of putting that power of primordial chaos into his fist. Yes, this is it. Oh Yun-sok can now make even clearer what he should leave behind. I will become a stairway. With his single first, he decides to become the stairway for the enders of later generations. While throwing a straight punch at the level of a first-rate martial artist of the human martial world, Oh Yun-sok engraves that moment into the world. While throwing a straight punch strong enough to kill a chi-refining cultivator, Oh Yun-sok engraves that moment into the world. Oh Yun-sok throws a straight punch at the level that can kill a chi-building cultivator. In this way, step by step, he engraves straight punches appropriate for each stage into the world, deciding to become a beacon for the enders of later generations. Starting from ordinary martial artists, to minor boundary cultivators, middle boundary cultivators, and even great boundary true immortals, he engraves the power of his single fist into the world so that enders of later generations can borrow and use his single fist whenever they need it. And, at the end, Silver Basket, let's make it so they can manifest Silver Basket's single fist. With Seo Eun-yun's help, Oh Yun-sok temporarily shares the sight and enlightenment of martial pinnacle, engraving his single first into the principles of the world. Oh Yun-sok's power will periodically aid the enders of later generations whenever they desire. And if later generation enders who reach the rank of Heavenly King arrive at the end of Oh Yun-sok's arrangement, they will be able to use Oh Yun-sok as a stairway to Silver Basket's single fist. They will be able to arrive at the single strike of the Creator God. That is, Oh Yun-sok recalls the otherworldly Creator God, Silver Basket's strike. The power of a being that pierced a hole through the world of Mount Sumer. The true power of Nirvana. E28. If, even one later generation ender, using Oh Yun-sok's arrangement as a stepping stone, manifests that power of Nirvana, then they will be able to pierce through the world of Mount Sumeru and plant the hope that one could escape beyond it. Thus, with Seo Eun-yun's help, Oh Yun-sok engraves his one fist into the principles of the world, and he sets it so that only the righteous ones among the later generation enders can borrow the traces of himself engraved into those principles. Kim Yeon has little hesitation about what arrangement to leave behind. Suet. This is because, right now, she holds one important power that must be widely spread. Itis Vast Cold's primordial origin immortal cultivation system. Wu Wang. Kim Yian places her hand against Seo Eun-yun's gang sphere clone, and through prophecy, they transform Mount Sumer. Plus in our name, we prophesize. Kurururung. Kim Yian, who inherited the immortal Tao of acceptance at fate's end, and Seo Eun-yun, who inherited the immortal Tao of repentant enlightenment. The powers of the one who carries the will of vast cold, who said immortal cultivation is progress, and the one who carries the will of salt sea, who said immortal cultivation is repentant enlightenment, intertwine, adding a fundamental rewrite to the immortal cultivation system itself. No words are needed between them. Feeling each other's affection in hearts, Kim Yian and Seo Eun-yun begin to spread the vast cold heavenly circle together. According to the will of the two beings, various strange phenomena occur throughout Mount Sumeru. The most representative is dream appearances, re. From a certain day onward, the majority of mortal beings living in Mount Sumeru begin to dream of an immortal couple appearing before them, changing their understanding of the grand perfection heavenly being formula. The immortal couple appear in the dreams of countless mortal beings and cultivators, breathing new immortal cultivation formulas into them, and many give thanks for the couple's grace and begin to believe in a folk faith toward the immortal couple who opened a new path in the immortal cultivation system. Through Seo Eun-yun and Kim Yian's prophecy, all of Mount Sumeru changes, and dreams containing their enlightenment begin to be engraved into the entirety of Mount Sumeru. And, while scattering the formula of the vast cold heavenly circle with Seo Eun-yun, Kim Yian ponders. Is this really the best I can do? All she is doing is spreading the formula given by Vast Cold into the world. Vast Cold's arrangement is admirable on its own, but at this rate, it is as if she herself is doing nothing. 0. Mount Sumeru. Thus, Kim Yian breathes just a trace of her own will into Mount Sumer. Grant me this one request. The primordial origin immortal cultivation system she has learned. An immortal cultivation system that transforms the world through a person's will begins to transform the world with Kim Yian's will. By adding a little of her own will to the dream appearances of the vast cold heavenly circle, she leaves behind one small arrangement of her own. Someday, even if an ender passes through the painful beginning, development, twist, and conclusion, let them believe that there is something that does not vanish even within that progression. Her will is faint, it is unlikely to have much influence on the enders of later generations. But Kim Yian is certain. The will she leaves behind will be continuously added to and added again by later generation enders, gaining flesh bit by bit. And as a secret power unknown to anyone, it will be added to the world and, little by little, exert at least a faint influence on the beginning, development, twist, and conclusion of the enders. As time passes, and the progression of the enders repeat again and again, Kim Yian's will shall grow, and someday, it will create an error in the enders, beginning, development, twist, and conclusion. With a vow that her small wish will be fulfilled, Kim Yian breathes her will into Mount Sumeru. I leave an arrangement in Mount Sumeru together with all my other comrades. In Ohai Seo's case, she says she will simply leave the formula of tainted soul filling the heavens and has nothing else she wants to leave behind, so I leave her be. Ohai Seo seems to prefer being alone rather than leaving behind an arrangement, so I respect her opinion. Sending countless gang sphere clones to my comrades, I transform Mount Sumeru together with them while I prepare to leave behind my own arrangement. My arrangement is, watching the arrangements my comrades leave, I have already decided what kind of arrangement I will leave for later generations. Jaeon Myung-hoon leaves behind a sect and teachings. Kang Min-hee leaves behind a hidden space to conceal arrangements. Oh Yun-sok leaves behind a law to manifest his strike. Kim Yian leaves behind the vast cold heavenly circle. Ohai Seo leaves behind tainted soul filling the heavens. And though he is not here, Kim Young-hoon has also left something regarding martial arts in the head realm, so he too can be said to have left an arrangement. And by looking at their arrangements, I realize something. I think I understand why the arrangements of enders are so few and precious. Radiance Hall. As long as Radiance Hall, which upholds the will of fate, exists, no matter how many arrangements we leave behind, they will all be eradicated and swept away. Even just looking at the arrangements my comrades are leaving behind so boldly, to be honest. Except for Kang Min-hee's, which is specifically a space to hide arrangements, every single one is something Radiance Hall will uproot. So long as Radiance Hall exists, it's impossible to leave behind an arrangement normally. Coming to that conclusion, I clearly realize what kind of arrangement I must make. Thus, I will leave an arrangement inside Radiance Hall. TSTSTSTSTSTs. While my gang sphere clones go to my comrades, I create a very special avatar with my main body, and send it far outside the heavenly escape realm. Across distant space and time, to a stellar realm in the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain. Above a planet near the Palace of Radiance in the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain. There, opening my eyes in the identity of a suitable orphan boy, I rise from my place. And as I stand up, I feel a hand patting my head. It is a woman wearing a silver mask with her whole body wrapped in bandages. Welcome, CO. She does not clearly say my name, but she speaks in a warm voice. You are my successor Sword Spear Heavenly Lord. Her identity is the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord. That's right, my arrangement is to become the candidate for the later generation Sword Spear Heavenly Lord myself, leaving an arrangement deep within Radiance Hall. 736. First of all, you must not use your original name. Right now, countless beings in the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain forbid your very name across the entirety of Mount Sumeru, and their eyes are red trying to track down any place where that name is spoken. Jiwa warns me and continues speaking. In that sense, while you are staying here for now, use a new name. The best choice would be to use the name Gyung too, like me. That will probably make it easier to stay close to me. Alright, then while I'm here, call me, Seo Gyung. I decide to live under the identity of Seo Gyung for the time being and ask Jiwa a question. That aside, there's something I want to ask. What is it? Do you know about the Northern Dipper sealing immortal flags of the Northern Dipper 7 Heavenly Lords? I do. In the first place, that 7 stars harnessing God banner is an immortal art that took considerable influence from our God-killing spear. At her words, I nod. As you know, right now, I have the Northern Dipper sealing immortal flags embedded in me, and I have removed a total of 5 of them. After reaching the realm of Immortal Beast King and Martial Pinnacle, I tried to pull out the remaining sealing immortal flags through force, but as expected of seals created to target the vast cold Heavenly Lord, they were made so they can never be removed by strength alone. In particular, the fewer Northern Dipper sealing immortal flags remain and the higher the realm of the one they are embedded in, the stronger their absoluteness becomes. Because of that, even now I cannot forcefully remove the last 2 Northern Dipper sealing immortal flags. The fact that I managed to pull out the first Northern Dipper sealing immortal flag by strength alone is an immense feat. The conditions for the sealing immortal flags that cannot be removed are as follows. 1 is to defeat 3 supreme deities while at the realm of Great Net Immortal or lower. The second is to take the attacks of the Radiance 8 immortals in sequence, perhaps because the Northern Dipper 7 Heavenly Lords created this immortal art to target the vast cold Heavenly Lord, the release conditions are absurdly strict. As it stands, I have defeated the Sal Tree Heavenly Venerable and the Heavenly Venerable of Void, and I have also participated in defeating the Heavenly Punishment Supreme Deity and the Naming Supreme Deity, summing to 4 governing immortals. Even though I have personally brought down 4 governing immortals, the Northern Dipper sealing immortal flag judged that I have not purely defeated 3 supreme deities, so the seal did not release. Well, this doesn't really matter. Someday, as long as I defeat Bong Miang, the condition of 3 supreme deities will be fulfilled, so this is nothing to worry about regarding that anymore. The problem lies with the attacks of the Radiance 8 immortals. If you know a bit about this Northern Dipper sealing immortal flag, then why is it that even though I've taken the attacks of the Radiance 8 immortals with my whole body several times, the seal still hasn't been released? Do you have any idea? To my question, Jiwa nods as if it is simple. I know what the problem is. I already got permission from the Northern Dipper 7 Heavenly Lords to view all the release conditions of the Northern Dipper sealing immortal flag. The release condition you're concerned about is to take them in sequence. Just as expected, it is exactly the kind of troublesome condition it sounds like. Starting from the Great Forest Heavenly Lord, all the way to the Rain Dew Heavenly Lord. You have to take the attacks of the 8 Radiant Supreme Deities in the order of the 10 Heavenly Stems. That's the release condition. However, I find myself puzzled hearing that condition. I'm certain that last time, during the activation of the Salt Sea Returning Dew Jade, I took them in order. No, back then the Quartermaster of the Radiance 8 Immortals, the Pearl Jade Heavenly Lord, did not take part in the attack. Thinking back to that time, I realize she is right. I see. Indeed, after filling the Heaven's Sword Rain, the Great Sea Heavenly Lord's immortal art came next. There was no Pearl Jade Heavenly Lord's attack. But then, I noticed something else strange. Wait, even setting that aside, just during the last God-killing spear battle, I took all of your attacks in order. Starting from the God-killing spear thrown by the Great Forest Heavenly Lord, all the way to the God-killing spear thrown by the Rain Dew Heavenly Lord, I had taken them in sequence. So why is it? At my question, Jiwa gives a bitter smile and speaks. You fought back. What? The final release condition of the Northern Dipper sealing immortal flag. Since our Radiance 8 immortals directly oversee its release, we heard it straight from the Northern Dipper's 7 heavenly lords. The truth of the final Northern Dipper sealing immortal flag's release condition is not only taking the attacks of the 8 owners of light, in sequence, but also without resisting. 50 even if it's an attack like the God-killing spear. Yes. In the end, calmly taking the attacks in sequence with your whole body, without resistance, that's the release condition for the Northern Dipper sealing immortal flag. I am dumbfounded, but I realize that this level of requirement is necessary to restrain an existence on the level of the vast cold heavenly lord. So that means, because I fought back against the God-killing spear in order to not die, the Northern Dipper sealing immortal flag wasn't released. That's about right. After a long silence, I asked Jiwa. Can't you stir things up a bit so that someday, when I stand before the Radiance 8 immortals, they all bombard me at once? Do you think that would work? We've all heard that you're sealed by the Northern Dipper sealing immortal flag. In the end, even if they have me right in front of them, they might not attack in sequence at all, or even if they do attack in sequence, some of them might purposely not attack in the middle, making it all for nothing. Troublesome. I contemplate the Northern Dipper sealing immortal flag's release condition of taking the attacks of the 8 radiant supreme deities in the order of the 10 heavenly stems without resisting and sigh inwardly. Pearl Jade Heavenly Lord is the problem. Even if I manage to incite them to somehow attack you, the Pearl Jade Heavenly Lord is the quartermaster. Aside from supplementing our strength and providing the power of prophecy or blessings, they don't come to the front lines during wartime. That's why though cases like last time's God-killing spear are rare, if you had been hit by the God-killing spear, even you would have been sealed without a doubt. If the Northern Dipper sealing immortal flag was released only for you to be sealed by us instead, that would have been even more troublesome, so there was no helping it. I realize I am getting a headache and let out a sigh. All right, whether I have to ask Young Sung or the Heavenly Venerable of Time, I'll ask them to remove it. If that doesn't work, I could always ask the Liberation Supreme Deity or the Underworld. But at your level, the Northern Dipper sealing immortal flag doesn't really matter anymore, does it? The power you've accumulated is far too different from the specific, vast cold strength that the Northern Dipper 7 heavenly lords intended to seal, so there shouldn't be a problem. That is true. Powers like that of the immortal Beast King and Martial Pinnacle. Since the powers of accumulated are of a nature far too different from the vast cold heavenly lords, the Northern Dipper sealing immortal flag hardly affects them. However, while it cannot affect the powers themselves, it has a considerable impact on the synergy between my powers. The powers don't blend well. Even now, my main body is trying to heal the wheel while my clone is here, but when I try to heal it, the various fragmented powers do not mix easily, making the healing process difficult. To heal the wheel, I have to completely unify my powers, and to do that, I must remove all the Northern Dipper sealing immortal flags. The Northern Dipper sealing immortal flag blocks the fusion between my powers. From the 3 great ultimates of the Heaven Tao, Earth Tao, and Immortal Tao, to the Immortal Beast King, the ultimate of martial arts, and the powers of various mantras. All of those should intertwine and naturally rotate and spin the wheel to heal it, but the powers that do not blend instead only interfere with the wheel's rotation. If what is needed to turn the wheel is pure liquid, then my current powers are not pure liquid, but a stew with various chunks floating in it. The unblended powers keep turning the wheel, so it seems the overload is much greater. If someone other than me had obtained the wheel, I think that at least the overload would not happen this often. As I am inwardly pondering these problems, I suddenly notice Jiwa holding my hand and briskly walking somewhere. By the way, where are we going? From now on, speak formally. I am going to place you in a Taoist temple that serves Radiance Hall. It is a place jointly operated by my clone and my followers, so live there together, and I will give you appropriate orders to follow. Follow those orders and learn the basic methods that the mortal beings under Radiance Hall practice, and walk the path of immortal cultivation. Preferably, reach the core formation stage around the age of 20. Then the true immortals of Radiance Hall will naturally take interest in you and begin supporting you, and when you ascend later, you will be marked as a candidate as my sword spear successor. I nod and, led by Jiwa's hand, am entrusted to a Taoist temple called Radiance Taoist Hall. The Taoist of the Radiance Taoist Hall, the Black Spirit True Person, is a devotee of the Radiance Hall's teachings, taking in children and homeless orphans as disciples in the temple in service to those teachings. From that day, I begin cultivating together with Jiwa under the Black Spirit True Person. Quote. That Black Spirit True Person, are they your subordinate? I ask Jiwa, who is pinching my cheeks in the backyard of Radiance Taoist Hall, and she nods. In a previous life, they were a quasi-immortal messenger bird I raised. They were at the entering nirvana stage at the brink of advancing to true immortal, so last time, when the great mountain supreme deity said he was going to the sun and moon heavenly domain, I had them charge in with the will of the Radiance 8 immortals. 50 You killed them. I simply gave them a push to advance to true immortality. Do not misunderstand. Judging from the use of the words, previous life, it seems Black Spirit True Person faced true immortal advancement from the great mountain supreme deity and failed. I heard Radiance Hall has an immortal art that helps with true immortal advancement. It exists, but those who complete their advancement that way usually do not understand how precious the true immortal position they've gained is. They often do vulgar things, like abusing mortal beings, or spreading the fate of war and suffering across an innocent astral realm. That's why the true immortals whom Radiance Hall truly watches are usually allowed to advance only by their own will and skill. I see, but why are you touching my cheeks? I am assessing the qualities of your clone. I am thinking about what method you will need to infiltrate Radiance Hall without suspicion. I see, thank you. I, without much suspicion, let Jiwa examine my cheeks, and she helps me with my cultivation in the Radiance Taoist Hall, clothing me, feeding me, bathing me, and being together with me. Thus, we join hands in order to infiltrate Radiance Hall, spending time in the Radiance Taoist Hall. 5 years pass in the Radiance Taoist Hall. Kurururung. My goodness. A genius. Without a doubt, this must be an immortal talent bestowed by the owner of light. The 5th year, with the support of Black Spirit True Person, who in this life could only reach the Qi building stage, and Jiwa, I quickly reached the Qi building stage. From the start, the Qi building stage is a realm I had madly striven to reach during my younger days, shouting to the heavens, so in truth I could have reached it in 7 days and 7 nights. But under Jiwa's advice that it would be too fast, I deliberately spent 5 years to reach it. What do you think, Taoist Sword White? At this level, wouldn't it be enough for our Seogyung to be given a letter of recommendation to the Radiant Spirit Sect? The Radiant Spirit Sect is said to be one of the great sects, even when counting together this stellar system and the 10 surrounding stellar systems combined. There, even a Qi-building cultivator is considered a low-ranking disciple, and since one of the vestige liberation immortals of Radiance Hall is from the Radiant Spirit Sect, joining it would mean I have a definite faction in Radiance Hall even after later becoming a true immortal. Currently, Jiwa, who in the Radiance Taoist Hall is using the Taoist title, Sword White, shakes her head as if displeased. HMPH, a recommendation letter to the Radiant Spirit Sect for a mere 13-year-old brat. That is too much, Taoist Black Spirit. Since the Black Spirit True Person does not remember their past life, Jiwa is recognized by them as a Taoist from a mortal background, and in particular is playing the role of a Taoist in the Radiance Taoist Hall who dislikes me. She says that if, in the future, Radiance Hall examines history and finds out about our connection, it would be suspicious if they saw that we had gotten along. Even now, my head aches from recent rumors about some Thunder Resonance Valley, some Lightning Sword High Person, and the vast cold heavenly circle, and you want to let such a troublemaker enter the Radiant Spirit Sect? Impossible. Saying so, Jiwa strikes my backside hard with the fly whisk she holds, and with this young body, the sting from the fly whisk is intense, so my body instinctively lets out a groan. HMPH. A brat who cannot endure such basic hardship. What immortal cultivation, what immortal Tao does he think he will walk? For some reason, seeing me like this, Jiwa starts panting and lifts the fly whisk high as F to hit me again, and the Black Spirit True Person, seeing this, is startled and hastily stops her. Enough. We will discuss the details later. Seogyung, for now, go inside, stabilize your Qi building stage, and bathe. I will calm Sword White down in the meantime. And so, watching Jiwa's amusing act, I bathe and enter the Taoist Hall's hot spring to stabilize my realm. For a while, Jiwa and the Black Spirit True Person exchange heated words outside the Radiance Taoist Hall, and soon, the Sword White True Person enters the hot spring while panting, saying she will assess my qualities again. 737. Black Spirit True Person lets out a sigh. Sword White True Person's feelings are understandable. Sword White True Person has always been someone full of worry. Full of worries, and full of lingering affection too. It must be that she worries about how difficult it will be when Seogyung leaves for the Radiant Spirit Sect. Seok-young is someone Sword White true person has raised like her own younger sibling since childhood. Of course she would worry. That worry must be what shows through in those rough actions. From the spiritual water hot spring meant for those who have reached a certain realm of cultivation, the sounds of splashing and bickering echo loudly. Sword White true person must be lecturing Seok-young. Well, scolding might be the word, but it is probably her own way of preparing for their parting. The slapping sounds seem to grow louder, but Black Spirit true person knows well of Sword White true person's purity, nobility, and deep affection, so he does not worry too much. Rather, from Black Spirit true person's point of view, Sword White true person gets along quite well with Seok-young. Even while pretending not to care, it's always Sword White who takes care of young Seok-young, dressing him, bathing him, watching over him. I am sorry, Sword White. I am sorry, Seok-young. Even for Black Spirit, splitting up the two, who are so close, pains them. But, still, a fledgling phoenix cannot live forever in a tiny nest. One day, it must flap its massive wings and soar high into the sky. Splash, splash, splash. Black Spirit true person shifts their attention away from the hot spring, deciding that for Seok-young, who possesses such overflowing talent, it's worth being a little cruel if it means forcing him to leave the Radiance Dao Hall. Sword White is just in pain, needing a bit of time to prepare herself for the separation. In the end, she will agree to send the boy to Radiant Spirit Sect. Unlike someone like me, Seok-young is truly a child born with great talent and grand spirit. Perhaps, with Seok-young's talent, he might even surpass being a mere mortal being and become a true immortal. If he becomes a true immortal and stands beneath the owner of light, he will surely be able to achieve far more. So please, Seok-young, forgive this unworthy Black Spirit. Worried that Seok-young might stubbornly refuse to go to Radiant Spirit Sect, Black Spirit true person enters the alchemy room to prepare a sleeping pill. No matter what it takes, Seok-young must enter Radiant Spirit Sect and become a great figure. In the end, through some means or another, Seok-young decides to go to Radiant Spirit Sect. He pats his waist, remembering the scolding from Sword White true person the night before, then turns to look back at the members of the Radiance Dao Hall. How nice. Those who, unlike Seok-young, do not have such great talent and must continue their cultivation in the Radiance Dao Hall instead of Radiant Spirit Sect. Or those who, while not able to enter Radiant Spirit Sect, might still join some other smaller sects or cultivation clans of lesser rank. And, Black Spirit, who will remain to guard the Radiance Dao Hall to the end, and Sword White, the clone of Sword Spear. Seo Eun-yun, who bears the identity of Seok-young, recalls the days spent with them and smiles gently, waving his hand. Sword White true person, playing her role to the end, turns her head away, while Black Spirit true person cannot hold back their tears as they see him off. Bidding farewell to them, Seo Eun-yun, now under the identity of Seok-young, boards a flying artifact, carrying the recommendation letter from Radiance Dao Hall, and heads toward the Radiant Spirit Sect. Heavenly King Heavenly Domain. Ushering Brightness Star 58,852. Among the planets within the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain that have names containing the character for bright, this one, in particular, is under the close watch and special management of heaven immortals. That is because countless fates ride there, and the mortal beings who may one day become the strength of Radiance Hall are walking the path of immortal cultivation. And within such an ushering brightness star, filled with the attention of Radiance Hall, atop one of the teleportation arrays, a 13-year-old boy is transmitted there. Itis Seok-young. He looks around here and there, giving off a naive, countryside air. At a glance, his actions seem clumsy and naive, but given that his consciousness domain is currently restricted, it's actually proof that he still retains the sharp senses he once honed during his days as a martial artist, always committing his surroundings to memory. After showing such a countryside air for a while, Seo Eun-yun soon moves toward the Brightness Mountain BLL of the Ushering Brightness Continent and Ushering Brightness Star, where the Radiant Spirit Sect is located. Since it isn't far from the teleportation array, it's a distance easily traveled by flying artifact. The date for the Radiant Spirit Sect entrance trial isn't far off. Seo Eun-yun reads the information given to him by Black Spirit True Person and lets out a hollow laugh. Though his main body is a great immortal capable of waging war against the entire Heavenly King Heavenly Domain and surviving, he finds it amusing that due to the current circumstances requiring to leave an arrangement, he now has to enter this small and cute cultivation sect. Didn't they say the current sect leader of this sect is at the Sacred Vessel stage? A greenhorn cute enough to scratch the belly of. Having gone through countless regressions and faced every kind of battle, from mountains and rivers to the stars and cosmos, Seo Eun-yun scoffs as he makes his way toward the entrance exam site over the course of several days. Frankly speaking, he doesn't even bother to expect anything from the entrance exam of a small and childish sect like Radiant Spirit Sect. And finally, Seo Eun-yun arrives at a valley called Shining Valley, 3% within Brightness Mountain, which is the main base of Radiant Spirit Sect, and where the entrance exam is held. Step. Seo Eun-yun steps off the cloud-shaped flying artifact, retrieves it, and surveys the area. Backed by the true immortals of Radiance Hall, the Radiant Spirit Sect is indeed a famous cultivation sect in the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain. Most who come to take the entrance exam are already at the core formation stage, and there are few chi building stage cultivators like him. Looking at the core formation cultivators glaring at or looking down on him with hostile eyes, he can't help but smile at the sight, as if it's like watching tiny baby squirrels grow at him. Adorable little things. Will they get mad if I scratch their necks? Just as he is thinking that, kurururung, fog and thunderclouds surge into Shining Valley, and in an instant, the consciousness domains of Seo Eun-yun and the other core formation cultivators become restricted. Is it starting already? It seems Radiant Spirit Sect conducts its entrance exams in this fashion. Sure enough, a solemn voice echoes out from within the fog. Those taking the entry exam, it seems you have all gathered. Let us now begin the basic assessment. Wait, what do you mean by that? I have come with a letter of recommendation. A letter from the Brain Kidney Flow. TL, it's a pun of the Lightning God Flow sect from Reincarnated Swordmaster. The Hangul is the same, just with different Hanja. I have a letter of recommendation from Senior Brother Sect Leader of the Volcanic Sect. I too possess a recommendation from the Heavenly Horse Divine Cult. TL, pun of Mount Hua Sect and Heavenly Demon Divine Cult. Just like Seo Eun-yun, those who brought letters of recommendation from sects they belong to begin voicing their dissatisfaction, and as if mocking them, the voice within the mist laughs. Whether you brought a recommendation or even a decree from a great net divine immortal, I do not care. Really, Seo Eun-yun chuckles at the cliché, and the voice continues. Whether you are someone who brought a recommendation letter or came to prove your ability, all of you must first reach the proper exam start. Whether you get accepted through a recommendation or begin the exam properly comes after that. Anyone too incompetent to even do that does not deserve to hand over a recommendation, nor do they deserve to begin the entrance exam. It's best to get started quickly. Our sect favors the fast. Pats TS. The moment the voice ends, the fog covering the area thickens even more and begins to emit an ominous energy. And then, beams of light burst out from all directions, and something is placed into the hands of the cultivators within the fog. It is a talisman. This fog, it's a formation created by a heavenly being stage cultivator. If one isn't careful, they could be trapped inside forever, so they've given us a single lifeline out. Seo Eun-yun looks at the talisman in his hand. Taking a deep breath, he lets out a chuckle and steps fully into the fog. As he begins to move properly within the fog, the talisman in his left hand bursts into yellow light. The light, which spreads in all four directions, soon shoots off in one direction. Let's see, does that mean I should go this way? Seems like the light changes direction depending on the user's level of focus. Step. He takes a step forward. Kuup. At the same time, screams ring out from all directions. I see. In exchange for being able to use the talisman through focus, it involves heart demons and induces illusory pain. Seo Eun-yun smiles faintly at the subtle illusory pain spreading through his whole body. How cute. Both the cultivator who set up this formation and the formation's power are cute. Heart demons arise in his mind as well, but instead of bothering him, they instead feel happy with the soothing scent of this formation, far more peaceful than Seo Eun-yun's inner world, and start taking naps. Seo Eun-yun pays no attention to the formation and continues walking. With every step he takes, a different kind of intense pain visits him, granting the heart demons their moments of rest. Well, it's only because it's me that I can endure this. Ordinary mortal beings might have a hard time. Though it's not the full body pain he felt on his first step, a headache too overwhelming for a mortal being hits him. Sometimes he experiences an itch so maddening it would drive a mortal being insane, or a terror so overwhelming it would freeze a mortal being's heart, but every time, Seo Eun-yun just chuckles and walks through the fog. And when he has taken around 50 steps, 0.2 inches, Seo Eun-yun suddenly feels as if his vision is splitting into two. Immediately afterward, a pain like his head is being split open seizes him. And then, he realizes something. This is a little troublesome. And he deliberately begins to scream with all his might. Kuat, Sururuk. From Seo Eun-yun's screaming mouth, a white mass slides out. Looking at the softly glowing mass, Seo Eun-yun feigns a pale expression. When a person dies, their spirit comes out from their eyes, nose, and mouth. Then this formation is, could it be? Pretending to try and grasp his own spirit, he makes a frightened expression. How bothersome, a planet drawing the attention of heaven immortals. The reason is that not long after the entrance exam began, several true immortals started watching the exam site. He frowns slightly as he reads the emotions of the transcendence within those gazes. What a bothersome kid, just watching because they are bored, huh? Even if it is for amusement, drawing the attention of a true immortal is troublesome. Seo Eun-yun acts ordinary so as not to draw suspicion from the true immortals. Yu-ah, the white masses that exited Seo Eun-yun's eyes, nose, and mouth begin to take shape. They take on the form of Seo Eun-yun. His vision splits in two. One is the perspective of Seo Eun-yun looking at the spirit, and the other is from the spirit looking back at him. What is this, too? Before Seo Eun-yun can speak, his spirit begins to scatter. And no, as the spirit before his eyes dissipates, another white mass gushes out again from Seo Eun-yun's eyes, nose, and mouth. How annoying. Of course, from Seo Eun-yun's perspective, who knows the truth, it's nothing more than a petty illusion formation. Of course, even though it's just a simple illusion formation, because a true immortal is observing the place, its effects are multiplied many times over, and it is affecting reality as well. Feigning agony, Seo Eun-yun at last he figures out why the true immortal is focusing their gaze on this place. Instead of his lacking consciousness domain, it is the habit of picking up information that he has honed as a martial artist. I see. The place where the true immortal's gaze is focused is a mortal woman about 50 steps away from me. Judging by how quickly she's responding compared to the others on the exam site. Soon, Seo Eun-yun becomes aware of the presence beyond 50 steps and grows curious. Incredible talent, not a dullard pretending to be a genius like me, but a true heaven-chosen immortal talent, huh? Step. Even as the unprecedented phenomenon of her soul scattering occurs, the girl 50 steps away continues to take one step after another. That will and determination I feel from her, and that attraction force. That child is born with it. She truly carries the fate to become a true immortal. As long as she can endure that fate, she will become one. The true immortal currently observing this place seems to have taken interest in that child and is testing her. And in the process, all others except her are dying off. Judging from the reaction, they must be hoping that the child will pass the test as the top candidate. As for me, it'd be best to pretend to stagger around and aim for second or third place or so. Understanding his hidden position in the Heavenly King heavenly domain, Seo Eun-yun holds his breath and conceals his presence. However, not long after. The fog in the testing site scatters, and beings with overwhelming presence descend urgently into the site. Seo Eun-yun looks up at the one with the most overwhelming presence among them. Pawak, the body of Seo Gyung, Seo Eun-yun's clone, fails to withstand the rank of the being, and blood flows from his eyes, yet he smiles. Sacred vessel, sacred master, the sect leader of the radiant spirit sect, makes me want to give their belly a little scratch. As he imagines scratching the belly of the sacred vessel sect leader of the radiant spirit sect, he kneels on the spot, and the sacred master urgently shouts. A true immortal has intervened in the exam. Register the one called Walla, who entered the exam site while enduring the gaze of the true immortal, as the top entry candidate. And the rest, Hyok, what is this one? Then, at the sacred leader's gasp, Seo Eun-yun realizes he has made a mistake. Maybe I should have just fainted instead of holding on. How in the world did he not even faint and just kneel down after receiving the will of an upper immortal? And with the sect leader's words, the gaze of the true immortal begins turning toward Seo Eun-yun as well. The heaven immortal who had no interest in anyone besides the child, Walla, now shows a slight curiosity because of the sacred leader's fuss. And through that faint interest, Seo Eun-yun sighs within this clone of his with pitiful senses. Damn it, the heaven immortal of Radiance Hall is now paying attention to him too. Chapter 738, Snakes 3. The first thought I have is extermination or return to thee. If one just temporarily send them all to the underworld through dimensional transfer or return to thee into my body and make them reincarnate, there's no way I'll be caught. Either way, since even if I kill them, it is within my authority to bring them back from the underworld and resurrect them, so they won't suffer any real loss. But I must not do that. I gained the realization that my own heart can become the fate of another, and I decide to refrain from recklessly wielding my heart under the excuse of it being just mine. What is fine by my standard may not be fine for someone else. Therefore, I do not kill or make them return to thee. Since it has already come to this, can only use the situation to further prove my identity. Immortal Beast King Authority, Open. Ancient Force Manifestation. My consciousness processing speed, incomparably higher than other true immortals, reaches the speed of Araya, and I summon scenes from a timeline forgotten and turned into ancient force. Radiance Hall Envoy of the Final Age of Dharma Candidate, Mike Jin. Attraction Force Connection. History Revision. The connection between Mike Jin and I, who do not meet in the current timeline. But through the authority of Immortal Beast King, I summon the connection between him and me from another timeline, and revise that history to fit this current timeline. Quirarararik. As if the Taiji is rotating the world, by my will, history twists, and into the twisted history is inserted the interpretation of a new history. The fragments of power that Mike Jin scattered in Heavenly King Heavenly Domain at the time of the vast cold Great War, so that he may revive upon death. Into the history of those fragments of power, the history of me is inserted and embedded. The Heaven Immortals of Radiance Hall are sensitive toward the history revisions of their nemesis, the Earth Immortals, but Quirarararik. When the authority of my wheel combines with the authority of Immortal Beast King, my history revision becomes vast enough to rival the history revision of the Head Realm, covering all of Mount Sumeru. Thanks to that, other than the Underworld, Great Mountain, and the Heavenly Kings of the Earth Immortal Pathway, none are able to perceive my history revision. If Torch Candle Heavenly Lord were at their peak, they might have noticed. But after the naming Supreme Deity battle, the Torch Candle Heavenly Lord is too busy shoving the Heavenly Void Furnace back into Head Realm to notice my history revision. Furthermore, the Torch Candle Heavenly Lord is a Heaven Immortal who only touches history by borrowing the power of the Heavenly Void Furnace and the Head Realm. Therefore they fall short of being a true heavenly venerable rank of the Earth Immortal Pathway. After completing that history revision through my clone Seog Young, blood spurts all over my body and my head explodes. Kukwagwang. As my head explodes, perhaps due to the main authority of the Heaven Immortal that watches us, the composition of my clone transforms into resplendent moonlight. From within the exploding clone, traces of Mike Jin spill out. Mike Jin. Point 2, equals. From the sense of doubt that I feel from them, it seems they do indeed know Mike Jin. For a while, that Heaven Immortal stares at me intently, as though connecting with somewhere in Radiance Hall to peruse the records of the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain. Then, as if convinced, they begin reconstructing my exploded clone. I'll have caused you trouble. Quirarararik. The Heaven Immortal adjusts their rank and revives all of us who died in this trial, including me, before vanishing from that place. TSTSTSTSTs. I act dazed with a blank face after being revived by them. Tisk, what a bothersome fellow. When I decode the wisdom remaining in the mind of the clone, I see that the name of that Heaven Immortal just now is Walwoon F% Moon Cloud, a being who treads the immortal Tao of Moonlight B3. Since their immortal Tao is a direct branch diverged from the immortal Tao of Radiance, they are indeed a promising Heaven Immortal, and so that mortal being called Wal-Ah is their direct descendant. It seems they are also someone holding the position of law-protecting immortal of Radiance Hall, like Ho Woon. Ah, that's right, and I remember that the being called Walwoon is one whose main body I once burst apart and killed when I invaded the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain. The power of their immortal Tao was usable enough, but their fundamentals were weak, so they were weaker than Ho Woon. Why then does the wisdom say that they have a promising future? Ah, I see. It is not an objective evaluation but simply what they themselves think, which has come to me. I click my tongue inwardly and continue looking around with a dumb expression, and then the sacred vessel Sacred Master of the Radiant Spirit sect approaches me as I look dumbfounded and speaks. Have you come to your senses? It seems you also have had the arrangement of a Heaven Immortal of Radiance Hall. Thanks to that, you have survived, and this too is a fortuitous encounter. You too seem to be born with a strong fate, so you also pass this trial. Is that true, too? At my question, the Sacred Master, who seems to be from the Earth tribe, rubs his head and nods. And so, though I suffered trouble because of the Heaven Immortal called Walwoon, without having to undergo the troublesome trial, I became a disciple of the Radiant Spirit sect. Disciples who pass the entrance trial of the Radiant Spirit sect are basically treated as common disciples. But among them, those who achieve the first, second, and third place in the entrance trial are specially taken in as direct disciples by the seniors of the Radiant Spirit sect. Guided by Baek Young, the sect leader of the Radiant Spirit sect and a demon beast sacred master from the heavenly dog race, Walla, walks toward the inner valley of the Radiant Spirit sect with those called second and third place. To think I am a descendant of a heaven immortal. Walla was born at the core formation stage. From birth, she carried a golden core within her, and even a part of her nascent soul has already manifested. Now, at 13 years old, she has already reached the half-step nascent soul stage, and in fact, she has already embodied the enlightenment of the heavenly being stage. As a genius who shakes heaven and earth, she came to the Radiant Spirit sect carrying all the expectations of the cultivation clan she was born into, and she has come to know the source of her talent. Of course, her talent originates not merely from being the descendant of a heaven immortal, but literally from the fate bestowed by Radiance Hall. Still, realizing she is the direct descendant of a heaven immortal makes her hold her head high. In this Radiant Spirit sect, am I the greatest prodigy? Passing the trial of enduring the gaze of a heaven immortal and receiving their wisdom, she can already foresee her future. The Radiant Spirit sect is merely a stepping stone, for in a very short span she will surpass even this sacred vessel's sacred master before her and become a true immortal. Since that is certain, she thinks it only natural that the sacred vessel's sacred master personally guides them to their teachers. But there is something unpleasant. I can understand the sacred vessel's sacred master Baek Young not personally taking me as their disciple. She had already heard in advance that the rules of the Radiant Spirit sect are like that. The rules of the Radiant sect were established by a true immortal from the Radiant Spirit sect itself, so she can accept them. But why do I have to go to be assigned a master together with the second and third place, who are far inferior to me? She looks at those called second and third place, Seok Young, and Pal Jin. Seok Young is a dumb-looking chi building stage, and Pal Jin, though at core formation stage, does not seem to have any special talent, even less than Seok Young. Truly annoying. Why must I, together with such things? And it is then, when she arrives with Baek Young at the inner valley of the Radiant Spirit sect, where the esteemed ones of the star-shattering stage dwell. Baek Jeom, White Sword, come forth. Kurururung. As though thunder rumbles, a woman descends before Baek Young and them, her face covered by a silver mask, her whole body wrapped in bandages, and wearing a silver robe. Baek Jeom looks at Walla and Pal Jin and speaks curtly. This one is my direct successor candidate, and this one is the candidate of Pearl Jade. Walla looks up at Baek Young in puzzlement at what is being said, but Baek Young only sweats coldly and smiles awkwardly, as if they heard nothing at all. They are junior sister's disciple. Walla, as you can see, is born with a powerful fate. Seok Young and Pal Jin are. I know. I'll take all three as my disciples. Go take care of your business. Yes, junior sister. As if it is uncomfortable to face Baek Jeom, Baek Young gives a full respectful bow to Baek Jeom and then leaves in a hurry as though fleeing. Seeing this, Walla grows confused. Since they are both of the Baek surname, it seems they are of the same line. Moreover, the sect leader has a higher realm, so why do they speak so respectfully to that one? But before she has the chance to dwell on that thought, Baek Jeom roughly gropes Seok Young's body and speaks. For now, you two train on your own. This one shows no sign of talent, so I must do a talent inspection. SW Sword White True. Who is that supposed to be? I am the esteemed one, Baek Jeom, White Sword, so I know no such person. And I am your master, so obediently follow my words. Finishing her words, Baek Jeom hoists Seok Young over her shoulder. As she turns at once to leave, Walla calls out hurriedly. Master, please wait. If you could watch over our cultivation just a little. You two are born with fate, so you have no need for such help. Even if you only breathe, your realm will rise on its own, so do not disturb me. At the irresponsible words of esteemed one Baek Jeom, Walla's mouth falls open in disbelief, and Pal Jin, sweating, also speaks. Master, too in truth, there is something I must reveal. I know what you mean. In truth, you have no talent, and the reason you have come this far is thanks to the secret of that mysterious jewel you possess, is it not? That mysterious jewel is not separate from you, but a tool derived from your fate. That too is part of your talent, so use it well. In fact, many Pearl Jade candidates grow just like you, relying on external tools. Using it well to reach a higher realm is your own task. To give some advice, both of you are born with the fate of metal, so if you eat things like iron powder as though it were your daily food, your essence will resonate and your cultivation will progress more quickly. Having said this, Baek Jeom takes Seok-young and disappears into her own cave residence. This all happens in but a moment after Baek Jeom becomes their master. 2 years pass after Seo Eun-yun, Wall-ah, Pal Jin, and the others join the Radiant Spirit sect. The three reach the edge of the minor boundary in no time. All in the Radiant Spirit sect praise their talent, and by all rights they should be brimming with confidence and pride in their own talent and fate, filled with a sense of superiority. However, Wall-ah cannot. Seok-young, in her own cave residence, Wall-ah grits her teeth and screams toward Seok-young. No matter how much she is born with talent of 1,000 ages, the realm of a heavenly being is not easy. Even if she already embodied enlightenment up to the heavenly being stage, it is not something she could reach just breathing. Thus, she believed that upon reaching the heavenly being stage, she would be able to draw her master's attention. But, you only now reach the heavenly being stage. At this rate, can you even become a successor, Tisk? Only Baek Jeom's cold sneer greeted her. She still cannot tell if this one is truly her master. Surely I surpass them in talent. My fate is stronger as well. And yet, for some reason, Baek Jeom only pays attention to Seok-young. Even though Seok-young is still only in the late nascent soul stage. Why in the world? 2 Point 2 Even though within 100 years I could catch up to Master's realm, why? 2. She cannot understand why she feels so resentful. It feels as if the existence called Baek Jeom is powerfully connected to her, and if Baek Jeom denies her, her very existence itself is denied. Hey, Wall-ah! Then, startled by Seok-young's voice suddenly calling her from outside her cave residence, Wall-ah flinches and steps outside. Why, what is it, Seok-young? Despite the strong inferiority she feels toward Seok-young, Wall-ah greets him with a bright smile in front of him. In any case, as a natural-born genius, she must maintain outward dignity. Congratulations on reaching the heavenly being stage. Master may not say it, but she cherishes you. It's just that Master's gaze is a little hard to understand, so it feels cold. Ah, thanks for the congratulations. After exchanging kind words with Seok-young, Wall-ah goes back inside her cave residence. But even with Seok-young's comfort, she only suffers deeper under her heart demon. What? Hard to understand? Then you mean, you understand Master? Someone like you, boo-doo-doo-dook. Anger rises. Seok-young's kind appearance, esteemed one Baek Jeom who for some reason only pays attention to Seok-young. And most of all, herself. I must become overwhelmingly stronger than Seok-young. She believes there is only one way to resolve the inexplicable inferiority she feels towards Seok-young. Overwhelming advancement in cultivation, only that can dissolve her sense of inferiority towards Seok-young. I must devote myself more to cultivation. Even more. And then, just as Wall-ah is about to begin cultivation at the heavenly being stage while engulfed by her heart demon. From her shadow, a voice speaks. Do you desire power? ... What? At the sound of that single utterance, she suddenly beholds an illusion. Itis the divine spirit of a sword mountain, with glass swords sprouting all over. Power. Hearing the call of the mountain divine spirit from within her heart demon, the pupils of Wall-ah, the next sword spear heavenly lord candidate, begin to tremble madly. Chapter 739, Snakes 4. Goo. All of heaven and earth is black. But it is not simply black. Black, yellow, and all of the heavens, natural colors divide heaven and earth into 3 parts as they revolve, and that sight makes Wall-ah feel as if she has entered into an illusory world of the 3 great ultimates. Kayak. Kahuk. Wall-ah cannot even properly breathe. She once thought she endured the gaze of a heaven immortal. She believed she could, before long, reach even those transcendent beings like true immortals. It was a dull delusion. What is this despair, too? The pressure of the existence before her, surpassing even the universe, makes Wall-ah unable to let out even a voice. And what is even more frightening is, even this, is not their true power. Her deduction and interpretation of the existence before her, arising from her own talent, it instantly tells her that the existence before her is not their main body. It is not even an incarnation, nor a clone, nor a projection. It is literally nothing more than a tiny speck, manifesting before her through some trigger. She looks at the sword mountain before her. That sword mountain takes on a form, yet is not clear. Even the power it contains cannot be fathomed. And yet, This is only the power of a mere speck of the mountain divine spirit. Her body trembles. Am I going to be killed? Nothing else comes to mind. Only the thought of how despairing this existence before her is floods her mind. Just then, the existence before her asks again. Do you not desire power? Hawk, power. Only at that single word does she barely come back to her senses. No, rather than regaining her senses, it might be that she is drawn by the fundamental magic that word carries. Only by being lured in by that magic does she barely regain her senses. I don't need it. Disappear. Words spoken half instinctively. If the existence before her truly were the projection or incarnation of the mountain divine spirit, she would never have been able to utter such words. The only reason she can do so now is, the being before me is absolutely not real. Her absolute talent, stemming from her very fate, strongly denies the reality of the existence before her. And along with Wallah's denial, she finally exhales a breath of relief while watching the remnant image of the mountain divine spirit gradually fade away. It's disappearing. As expected, it is an existence that cannot truly affect. But just as she is about to feel relief, something sharp brushes against Wallah's cheek. Shiver. It is a hand of glass, from which glass swords jut out. The hand that bursts forth from the remnant image of the sword mountain slightly scratches Wallah's cheek, drawing a drop of blood. As if to read her petty thought and declare, I can exert influence whenever I wish. Sururuk. Even as the hand of glass fades, it slides down to her chest and pierces through. Esuk. The hand passes straight through her clothes, her skin, her muscles, her ribs, and reaches her heart. Thump, thump. She feels it. At any moment, just as that hand scratched her cheek, it can scratch her heart and burst it apart. Because she is at the heavenly being stage, wounds like that no longer have meaning to her, but if it is an existence that can crush her heart, then it can do anything else as well. And as Wallah's heartbeat grows maddeningly loud, at last the vision completely vanishes, and only the voice flows into her ear as it fades away. When you desire power, call for me. I shall aid you. At last, the vision disappears. Amid the sound of her pounding heartbeat, Wallah prays to the God of Light, in whom all the living beings of the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain believe in. Amateus Buddha E 2262. Amateus Buddha, murmuring the regnal name of the God of Light, that is spread widely among mortals, Wallah checks the wound left on her cheek and the single drop of blood. That drop of blood is instantly swept away by her cold sweat and vanishes, and even the wound is healed by the regeneration of a cultivator at the heavenly being stage. But the shock she just received is not so easily healed. What she must do is simple. Because she is a human overflowing with talent, she knows well what she must do. If something incomprehensible lies before her, she must first gain the wisdom to comprehend it. That is the teaching that all who follow the God of Light, the Amateus Buddha, must engrave upon themselves. Wallah quickly goes to the Radiant Spirit Sect's scripture pavilion. The scripture pavilion's texts, even for her, normally require contribution points to access, but books that are not concerning methods, spells, or formations, such as histories or works of basic knowledge, do not require contribution points. Wallah frantically searches for books containing information on the Mountain Divine Spirit. Fortunately, or unfortunately, there are many such books to be found. Though Wallah does not know it, in the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain, the beings called Mountain Divine Spirits are nothing less than archenemies, receiving the hatred of all the true immortals of the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain. In fact, some groups within Radiance Hall even hold a regular hatred session toward the Mountain Divine Spirits. Because of this, to make sure that everyone of the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain becomes familiar with the enemies known as the Mountain Divine Spirits, Radiance Hall widely spread knowledge of the Mountain Divine Spirits even in the myths and tales of mortals. Especially their negative aspects are described in detail. This is a Mountain Divine Spirit, too. Wallah trembles as she examines the countless negative legends, myths, and observation records about the Mountain Divine Spirits stored in the scripture pavilion. There are mainly 3 famous Mountain Divine Spirits, and Wallah steadies her pounding breath as she looks at a collection of tales containing illustrations of them. The first Mountain Divine Spirit is the father of all mountain spirits, the thief who stole precious treasures from the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain, and became the friend of the God of Darkness, who governs the underworld after death. The God of Salt Mountain. The illustration shows a vast mountain made of countless red salts, and because the background is in darkness, it looks incredibly grotesque. Fortunately, or unfortunately, it seems that the God of Salt Mountain has already been annihilated by the gods of light. Good, S0 not all such savage mountain divine spirits are still alive. Turning to the section on the second mountain divine spirit, Walla shudders again. Though it is not a direct depiction of the true form but merely an illustration passed down, her body trembles. Madness. The second mountain divine spirit, the god of Great Mountain. The illustration depicts a horrifying mountain made of blood and corpses, and things so revolting that it is difficult to even look at. Just seeing the illustration makes her stomach churn, and strangely her eyes begin to ache, so she quickly reads the description of the illustration. 'Tis a divine rank that still exists, and it is said to be preparing for war against the god of light in order to one day destroy the entire world. Walla feels overwhelming dread toward the mountain divine spirit of Great Mountain, and she hastily flips to the next page. Just seeing it brings terror. However, when she sees the illustration depicting the third mountain divine spirit, she feels her breath catch. This is Sword Mountain. Countless evil spirits and rakshasas are impaled on that sword mountain, screaming, and just looking at it makes the nape of one's neck chill, as if sharp sword energies are infused into that mountain. There is no doubt, this third mountain divine spirit is the devil god who came to her. She slowly reads through the information about the third mountain divine spirit. Third mountain divine spirit, Sword Mountain, a terrifying devil god who clashed with the owner of light many times, and who brought down 4 divinities equal in rank to the owner of light. As befitting a savage mountain divine spirit, they are seeking to kill the second mountain divine spirit, Great Mountain. They too are preparing for war against the owner of light, while also being close with the god of death and lord of darkness, the divinity of the underworld. Unlike Great Mountain, who exists alone, countless evil spirits and rakshasas follow them. Though currently missing, there is the golden bird, faster than anything in this world. The red Vajra, always filled with rage. The blue ghost king, always shedding tears. The giant god of chaos, who killed their own master, devoured their flesh, and became a god. The witch of destruction, who controls innumerable puppets and spews infinite power. And the vile opportunistic spirit who once served Great Mountain but betrayed their master and joined Sword Mountain instead. This mountain divine spirit not only brought down 4 divinities equal to the owner of light, but also captured and killed a benevolent god, split them into 5, and turned them into Dharma treasures which they carried around. These are said to be black chains that each symbolize one of the 5 desires. It is said that those who catch their eye are eternally tortured in the wicked glass-colored flames of hell, as much as the mountain divine spirit desires. Jing, even though it is not direct, Walla indirectly receives information about a governing immortal, and she feels a nosebleed coming. However, gripped by fear, she cannot put the book down. The fallen god of Salt Mountain, or the god of Great Mountain who supposedly travels alone while destroying the universe, she feels little toward them. But the god of Sword Mountain who directly spoke to her, and this collection of myths containing the most terrifying information. Walla feels as if her mind is going numb from the fear of this fearsome mountain divine spirit of Sword Mountain. A true immortal notices when someone mentions or thinks of them. It is because an attraction force forms between the one who thinks of the true immortal and the true immortal themselves. If it is a famous true immortal, they often do not care about such attraction force and ignore it, but 1 am not like that. Though I am indeed famous, my main body remains hidden, so I have no choice but to keep a close watch on those who think of me. And now, I smile as I see a familiar face among those who have formed an attraction force with me. You've walked well into it. Walla, who lacks knowledge about true immortals, is steadily forming an attraction force with me. At first, it is I who deliberately approached and faintly implanted my essence into her heart demon, but afterwards it is Walla who keeps recalling me, and thus the attraction between us is growing stronger. This is why it's impossible for mortal beings to resist true immortals. Quite literally, just by recognizing them, an attraction force is formed, and the more one thinks of a true immortal, the more they grant that true immortal a foothold to approach. Not only a single human being, but if I wished, I could dye an entire middle realm with thoughts of me, and destroy it utterly without the need of immortal arts or any special authority. Just by connecting attraction force and revealing my presence. I have wronged you. As I die Walla, I inwardly apologize to her. Truly, I am sorry, I am using her. The gap between true immortals and mortal beings that I once lamented, now, I am using that very gap to affect her life. From now on, she will become my arrangement. No, everything around her, everything that happens in her vicinity. It will all be dyed by me, and divine providence will be distorted. Step, through my clone Seogyung, I arrive at the Radiant Spirit Sect. The Radiant Spirit sect is filled with those overflowing with talent. And that, paradoxically, becomes the reason why the ones brimming with talent constantly compare themselves to each other and fall into inferiority complexes. Voila, falling into inferiority after seeing me is not unusual. In this place called the Radiant Spirit sect, such a phenomenon happens so endlessly that even the power of history repetition has settled to some degree. If perhaps 10 million more years pass, this repetition of inferiority will accumulate enough to become an immortal art, and an innate sacred vessel like Seo Wei may be born. If such a being is born, that too will be a disaster. Therefore, forgive me, but I will use you. I apologize to Walla, to the Radiant Spirit sect, and to everyone in this stellar system. Even if I must use you, I will prevent such a tragedy. Step, I approach a disciple in one dark valley of the Radiant Spirit sect, where he is violating sect rules by practicing a forbidden art. Walla, Lady Walla. Lady Walla is mine, mine. I cannot let anyone else touch her. Walla, Lady Walla is mine. I frown as I look around. Though less than Yuan Li, he too has slaughtered countless mortals, using their corpses to produce devilish energy and cultivate devilish arts. Disgusting. I want to ip out his spirit immediately and bring retribution upon him for what he has done, but I glance upward at the sky. Those Heavenly King Heavenly Domain bastards. If I use my strength here, they will notice instantly, burn away this clone, and interrogate esteemed one Baekjeom, who has taken me in as a disciple. That existence, infused with the soul of Sword Spear, will fall under suspicion. Not only Jiwa, but Baekjeom, whose status was forcibly taken after Sword Spear suddenly possessed them, would see their life fall into ruin. Even such a bug, in this place, I cannot punish with excessive strength. Surik. With movements imperceptible to anyone, I use Heavenly Escape to momentarily cut off surveillance of the nearby space. Killing this bug alone is no difficulty. I look at the corpses scattered in the surroundings and decide what to do with him. But in this Radiant Spirit sect, on this planet, there exists history repetition that amplifies the feelings of inferiority of the geniuses that were gathered in one place to foster talent. Even if I kill this one, the ring of misfortune will not end. The ring of suffering that Radiance Hall knows of yet ignores. So, I will make good use of trash like you. I read this one's fate. There are many like him in the Radiant Spirit sect. Thinking themselves superior, living arrogantly in their hometowns, only to come to the Radiant Spirit sect and realize they are frogs in a well. Falling into inferiority, they sink into forbidden arts or devilish arts and become devilish cultivators. Such individuals are nothing but supporting characters, used by Radiance Hall to raise the geniuses they desire. If I end such beings now, Radiance Hall will immediately notice that a fate has disappeared. But making them move according to my will within their fixed fate, that, even they will not notice. I slightly alter his fate. Leaving behind the stench of corpses, I begin to reinterpret his fate so that this wretch's fate, driven mad by inferiority, seized by inner demons, lusting after Wallah who is kind to everyone, and dying miserably, may at least hold some meaning. Senior brother, do you need power? His fate is to fall into the devilish path and be destroyed. But instead of falling into lowly devilry that harms countless lives, would not I, whom Radiance Hall itself designates as an enemy, be a far better devilry? Twitch, queric, I draw out a speck, just a tiny remnant, of a heart demon remaining within me, and begin to release it through my hand. A mere lump of base instinct, not even able to take a form like mine. Burning in glass true fire and weeping blood tears, the heart demon that emerges outside sees one tormented by lowly inferiority, and its eyes shine. The heart demon of I, who reached great net immortal, already possesses substance itself, and this pitiful being who beholds the charcoal lump monster weeping black blood tears stretches a hand out to me. Power, too, yes, senior brother, power, true power and enlightenment, on a level utterly different from the lowly devilish energy you gain by killing pitiful mortals. Were this not the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain, I could even have rewritten his fate anew. For I now hold that much authority. But as long as this place lies within the domain of Radiance Hall, all I can do is bend his fate slightly more toward the path of non-killing. Intoxicated by my presence and by the power I offer, he clasps my hand, and as I bestow power upon him, my eyes gleam. In a den of snakes. I too have no choice but to become a snake. I too will use whatever means necessary to poison and kill Radiance Hall from within. I too will become a snake. Chapter 740, Evil God 1. Heavenly King Heavenly Domain, Heroic Star Realm 5 pounds where the Radiant Spirit sect lies. Law-protecting immortal Wal Woon, assigned the duty of guarding the heroic spirit realm for 100,000 years, half opens their eyes at a strange sensation. Wal Woon, a heavenly immortal of the earth tribe like Ho Woon, raises their vast body made of pure white moonlight from within a nebula and gazes upon the heroic spirit realm. Just now, what was that? What kind of position is the law-protecting immortal of Radiance Hall? As the name law-protecting implies, is it a position that guards Radiance Hall and the Heavenly King heavenly domain from outside invasion? Itis not. In the first place, since the Radiance 8 immortals and the envoys of the final age of Dharma reside in the Heavenly King heavenly domain, what kind of existence would ever come to invade it? Even if there is an invasion, unless every Radiance 8 immortal and the envoy of the final age of Dharma are away, immortals from upper immortal and below have almost no reason to move personally for the protection of the Heavenly King heavenly domain. Thus, what law-protecting immortals protect is not the safety of the Heavenly King heavenly domain itself, but its fate. Just now, one of the flows of fate of the heroic spirit realm seems to have strangely twisted. The duty of law-protecting immortals is to observe whether there is a disturbance or not in the countless living beings that exist in the Heavenly King heavenly domain and the countless fates bestowed to them, and see whether someone has applied artificial interference or not, and if such a flow is seen, to return it to its original state or trace it back. Their mission is to prevent heaven immortals or earth immortals of other heavenly domains from interfering in the fate or history of the Heavenly King heavenly domain. Therefore, Wal Woon uses both their earth tribe authority and their heaven immortal authority to read history and observe fate. And they find the answer. Was it just my imagination? They look into the place where the flow of fate had slightly shifted just now. The fate still remains unchanged. The fate of the mortal being in the radiant spirit sect, where they had sensed an anomaly, still is the fate of falling into the devilish path and perishing. Nothing has changed. Nothing. Perhaps this is not a problem of fate, but of myself. Of course, it may not be a heart demon. Perhaps, if they look more deeply, they may sense a subtle change. But Wal Woon does not bother to take such a dangerous action. The current Sword Spear Heavenly Lord has sent down a split soul to test the next Sword Spear candidate, so whatever happens, it will be handled by them. If I step out on my own, it might even be an insult to them. Therefore, Wal Woon turns the circuit of their thought. They decide it is not a problem with fate, but a problem of themselves. Perhaps because one of my direct descendants is said to be a candidate for the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord, without knowing, I allowed a slight heart demon to form from my nervousness and excitement. Wal Woon looks upon their own heart demon and smiles faintly. They do not reject the heart demon. For one who has reached true immortality, such a thing is laughable. The Radiant Supreme Deity has chosen my bloodline. Of course, whether their descendant can truly walk the fate of being the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord candidate depends solely on that child's will and ability. But what is certain is, if that child truly succeeds in becoming the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord candidate, Wal Woon will be the ancestor of the next Sword Spear Heavenly Lord. The replacement cycle of the Radiance 8 immortals, unless one falls wrongly due to evil gods like the mountain divine spirits or the vast cold Heavenly Lord, is about 10 trillion years in times of peace. For weak-willed true immortals, they may live a mere billion years before death, but Wal Woon holds ambition. If my descendant becomes the next Sword Spear, then at least for 20 trillion years, my name will resound even in the true immortal realm. If that happens, then perhaps, truly perhaps I too, really perhaps, can aim for the seat, surpass heavenly Tao envoys, and become a supreme deity. If I become a heavenly envoy and roam the universe for 20 trillion years. It may not be such an impossible thing. For 20 trillion years, if they bear the name of Radiance Hall on their back, they might become a supreme deity as terrifying as the great mountain supreme deity. Wal Woon, indulging in delusion of a future full of hope where the world's powers are divided into three between Radiance Hall, the underworld, and the Moonlight Supreme Deity Wal Woon, once more closes their eyes and falls asleep. Wal after receiving the summons of the Mountain Divine Spirit, devotes herself even more earnestly to cultivation. Itis because she thinks that her own insufficiency allowed an evil god to pierce through the gaps of her heart. Yeah, let's let go of things like inferiority. Such things all arise from my own lack. She is a genius. A talent bestowed by the heavens cannot possibly show a gap in her heart over something as petty as inferiority and be seduced by an evil god. The talent given to her by the heavens tells her the answer she seeks right away. To escape from inferiority and fill the gaps of the heart, it is important to face the root of that inferiority. She faces her own heart. Master. And Seok Young. The fact that Baek Jeom, who will one day be surpassed by her, does not treat her kindly like Baek Young. And, more than that, the fact that Baek Jeom shows an absurd degree of favoritism towards Seok Young, who is even inferior to herself. How laughable, to feel such deep inferiority over something so trivial. Walla soothes her own feelings and begins to console herself that it is not such a big matter. When I think about it, the Radiant Spirit sect is only a place to pass through anyway. Her master, and Seok Young as well, are only things to pass through. Do not be swayed by emotions. Stealing her heart, Walla decides to go see her master and Seok Young. If she confronts them directly, then the root of this inferiority too will be resolved. Thinking so, she quickly heads toward the cave residence of her master Baek Jeom. And Walla is able to see a new scene once again. Pats tstststs. The lights of heaven and earth converge upon a single human. And the converging radiance begins to reverse the time of that human's body. Return to youth. The body of Seok Young, who has entered adolescence and is already becoming quite grown, returns to the appearance of the 13-year-old boy he had when Walla first met him. No, judging by how much younger he becomes, it seems not 13 but closer to 10 years old. Ha ha ha, splendid. The accomplishment of the youth samsara sword method 88 pounds as 57 has reached great completion. The praise of esteemed one Baek Jeom pours onto Seok Young. Kuguging. And from Seok Young, who has returned to youth, an even stronger aura and sword energy spill out. Grand perfection nascent soul stage. Soon he may even aim for the heavenly being stage. As expected, such talent is nothing special. Walla herself has already reached the heavenly being stage. Splendid, Seok Young. At Walla's congratulations, the gazes of Baek Jeom and Seok Young turn toward her. As I thought, such a fellow is not worth my concern, nor worth feeling inferior towards. Her master's love, let him have plenty. She does not care about her master's love anyway. Within 500 years at the earliest, she may surpass her master's realm. By then, she will have no need to care about Baek Jeom's favoritism. So, to cast away her inferiority and childishness, she steps toward Seok Young and pats his shoulder. At that sight, the eyes of esteemed one Baek Jeom twitch, but she pays it no mind. As expected of my fellow disciple, reaching the heavenly being stage will come quickly, but there's no need to be too hasty. I will teach you step by step. I have no congratulatory gift right now, but when you reach the heavenly being stage. Just then, it happens. Talk. Baek Jeom forcefully strikes away Walla's hand. Whose shoulder do you think you are touching? Young I dislikes others touching his shoulder. No, just now. Seok Young seems about to refute something, but Baek Jeom, as if to show Walla, brushes off Seok Young's shoulder where her hand has touched, as if dust is clinging to it, and needs his shoulder. Young I's shoulder can only be touched by me. And tell me, why did you come all the way here to give needless congratulations? Do you have some business here? At Baek Jeom's cold attitude, Walla again feels her chest ache, but she forces herself to maintain her expression as she speaks. I apologize for visiting without informing you beforehand, Master. It is only that now that I have reached the heavenly being stage, I wish to gain enlightenment to cross beyond the limit of the minor boundary and enter the middle. Empty words. You have no need for enlightenment. Something like enlightenment is something fate grants on its own, so why would you need such a thing? You came to me with a purpose. Ah, yes, seeing those eyes, you are troubled by a heart demon. Pardon. At Baek Jeom's words, which diagnose her condition in an instant far quicker than she expected, Walla is taken back. A heart demon usually leaks out because one cannot control their emotions. To fail to control even such emotions and let a heart demon grow. What a defective thing. Kuging. For some reason, at those words, Walla feels a shock as though her chest collapses. Again, itis always like this. Her nominal master, Baek Jeom, goes beyond indifference toward her, sometimes even spitting harsh words, and each time that happens, she feels as if her very essence is being denied. A being who cannot even control emotions as they wish can never be a candidate. Tisk. Get lost. Right now, I only wish to see Seok Young's face. What are you doing? Be gone at once, you defective thing. Walla, swept up by an overwhelming torrent of emotion she cannot even begin to fathom, leaves as though running away before Baek Jeom, who reveals affection toward Seok Young. Even she herself does not know what this emotion entangling her truly is. Isn't that too harsh? After Walla departs, Seok Young speaks to Baek Jeom. Baek Jeom strokes Seok Young's ever-youthful shoulders as though handling a precious gem, and smiles. In my time as well, I endured it all. The previous sword spear heavenly lord stripped me bare at that age, threw me into the mud to roll, and then made me lick their feet. Compared to that, I am being exceedingly gentle. If I had not met you, I would have had no need to be kind. I would have treated that child the same way through the refining method I learned from the previous sword spear heavenly lord. To become one of the Radiant's 8 immortals, there is a need to regard emotions lightly. One must learn it as something to cast aside from the body at any time. After meeting you, I realized such a thing is impossible, but in any case, in the orthodox process of raising an 8 immortal, it is absolutely necessary to go through a process of insulting emotion. Baek-jeom. Strictly speaking, the sword spear heavenly lord possessing the body of Baek-jeom, the junior sister of the Radiant Spirit sect master Baek-young, grips Seok-young's shoulders and continues with a fierce massage as she speaks. Of course, it is not something I wish to do, but if I do not go through such a process, I may be deposed immediately by the executor Rain-du heavenly lord. Is that 50.2? In any case, if you intend to leave behind an arrangement, isn't it best that the states of the Radiant's 8 immortals are as similar as possible? That is true. Seok-young's eyes shine. Since the arrangement I intend to leave behind will bring great change even to the bridal of the pitiful 8 immortals. Walla trembles. Itis always like this. It feels as if her very foundation is being denied. The status and cultivation of Baek-jeom itself are not that important to her, yet Baek-jeom's very existence presses upon her with immense pressure. Just why is this happening at all? She seeks an answer. The answer is that her fate as the next sword spear heavenly lord candidate derives from the current sword spear heavenly lord, making her very foundation none other than the current sword spear heavenly lord. In a sense, the current sword spear heavenly lord is even closer to being her parent than Wal-woon, who provides a bit of bloodline. And the fate directly bestowed upon her by Radiance Hall. Her genius arising from that fate derives an answer close to the truth. Master is a being similar to me in some way. Either similar in temperament, or similar in the nature of the spirit, or if not, similar in something metaphysical like fate. A metaphysical sense of kinship. Perhaps, she concludes, she herself is feeling a sense of kinship with Baek-jeom. And within that kinship, she grinds her teeth. It makes me angry. Her eyes burn with rage and hatred. Why does an existence like her, an existence similar to her, favor not her, who could be called their kin, but some other lowly brat? If she and Baek-jeom are similar existences, should she not cherish her even more? Boo-doo-doo-dook. She clenches the flame blazing in her chest and grits her teeth. It feels so unjust that she could cry. Why does Baek-jeom, her own kin, not look upon her? Why must she be robbed of the attention of her own kin, attention she ought to rightfully receive, by some other irrelevant thing? Why? Yes. And then, with her eyes reddened, she reaches one conclusion. If I take it away. That conclusion is a thoroughly distorted and twisted one. The fate of the Radiant's 8 immortals, which demands discarding emotion, the power of history repetition of the Radiant Spirit sect, which provokes inferiority, and the acts of the current sword spear heavenly lord, who deliberately gives her humiliation. All of these overlap, planting warped and crooked emotions within her heart. If I take away with my own hands what master treasures, then will she perhaps look at me? What her master, Baek-jeom, treasures. With bloodshot eyes, Walla recalls the one who, by cultivating a method imbued with the power of returning to youth, has taken on the form of a boy. Seok-young. At first, she tried to resolve her sense of inferiority toward Seok-young. But now, she knows. Inferiority cannot be resolved. No matter what, Seok-young receives more favoritism from the sword spear heavenly lord. 0. If I claim that Seok-young for myself, then master will look back at me. She will make her regret it. She will make her master realize too late that Seok-young, whom she cherishes, has been taken from her, and cause her to pound the ground in despair and sink into ruin. Fixing on that twist goal, Walla buries an emotion, whether it is inferiority toward Seok-young, warped affection toward Baek-jeom, or an obsession and possessiveness born without her even realizing, deep within her own chest. Do you desire power? Within that possessiveness, the phantom of the sword mountain forms faintly again, but Walla instantly casts the phantom aside and snaps sharply. Begone, evil god. At that, one utterance, the remnant of the mountain divine spirit shatters apart. I have no need of help from an evil god that seduces the hearts of people and plunges them into corruption. With my own hands I will steal what my master cherishes. Is it the fate of the Radiance 8 immortals repeated through generations that drags Walla into this state, or is it the remnant of the mountain divine spirit called an evil god? No one can know which is the true evil god, but Walla resolves that one day she will escape from the evil god. With my own strength, with my own fate, I will break free from the power of the evil god, and I will seize what I desire. Even if I must steal it from another. Within the fate of Radiance, as she destroys her own heart, Walla thus begins to cultivate madly. And 4 years pass. Is everyone gathered? Baek Jeom, along with the star-shattering esteemed one of the Radiant Spirit sect, brings their direct disciples and speaks. These are all disciples who have reached at least the grand perfection 4-axis stage to the integration stage. And among them, those who are still only at the early 4-axis stage stand out. They are the early 4-axis stage Seok Young, who has cultivated the youth samsara sword method and taken the form of a boy. The early 4-axis stage Pal Jin, who has cultivated the 8 trigrams sword formula. And likewise at the early 4-axis stage, yet having already prepared all the foundations to build the axes whenever she sets her mind to it, Baek Jeom's disciple. Now ascending to adulthood and receiving the courtesy name, Ryong%, the one who previously bore the name, Wal-Ah, now, Wal Ryong 54. Esteemed one Baek Jeom, having summoned them, looks at them and opens her mouth. From today onward, we go to another heavenly domain to sweep away the mad fanatics of the recently much talked evil god, the God of Sword Mountain.